welcome in everyone to episode 162 of the Podcast Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Peng, and we got Steve back, otherwise known as Roger Babyface 2. That's his pseudonym for this week. But welcome back. How you doing? Hopefully you've been GBLing this past.
We're not. We're not.
Look, I did a little bit. I didn't exactly play every day. I thought that I'd have a little bit more time than I actually did to do my sets, but I didn't. But you know, when we get to the ELO check-in, we'll see where I ended up.
Yeah, I mean, we still the time's not up yet, right? Because it's August 1st and it's the 29th right now, so we still have a few more days.
True.
So I think the strategy is we'll all take a screenshot of our ELO on that day, and then we'll review it next week for next week's episode. But
so Steve's got a day less than everyone else.
No. It's August 1st our time. What do you mean? It's the
more
same
than everybody else.
No. That's not how it works. All right. It's not like it was. Yeah, no, that's not how it works. It's like we all end at the same time.
I mean, unless I go down on that last day, then I'll retroactively be like, oh, no, this is what I was actually at.
Yeah.
August
Take a
1st.
screenshot the day before and the next day, just in case. Yeah. That's true. That's
okay. So I'm going to ask that everyone find a way to include timestamps.
Well, at least on my phone, screenshots have a little time in the
The
top.
screenshots will show the time.
Yeah, time zone shenanigans. None of that.
No, it's fine. I actually trust Steve's Photoshop skills more than anything else, so, you know. that's how we really do it. But anyway, so we have a bunch of events and topics to discuss. Before we get into it, too, I was arguing with Tomahawk before recording this because he saw the tweet clip, which wasn't me. I didn't tweet it too, right? And someone tweeted it and tagged him, so he's like, "Caleb, let me correct the record, right? Like this is actually how it goes." So it was so the mistake is his Annihilate is a 13-8-0 spread, and so the way you beat that is in the one shields. If he baits you a Night Slash, you don't shield it, and then he has to go straight Shadow Ball. You go straight Night Slash, you win. Or if he decides to go straight Night Slash in the ones, then you also win. But most likely because his attack's so high, you have to go Shadow Ball. Or he could go straight Shadow Ball in the one shields and you lose it. If you're going straight Night Slash with your own Annihilate. But if you just shield, then you just win that matchup. Obviously you have to go down shields, but that is the downside.
So TLDR, Caleb is wrong.
No, but you would only go down one shield though, because you win the 2-1s, right? Going straight Night Slash if he goes straight Shadow Ball. Because he has to shield at least one the Night Slash to get off the second Shadow Ball.
So basically, it's just bait dependent like usual, and Caleb was wrong.
No, not necessarily. Because if you go straight Night Slash, you just straight up lose. What do you mean? If you're Tomahawks,
why would he go straight Night Slash?
Well, no, I know. But the bigger situation is the more likely situation is if he tries to bait the Shadow Ball. Most people try to bait the Shadow Ball with Night Slash, right? Sometimes you might go straight Shadow Ball, right? It depends on how he wants to play it. But if you bait and you don't get the shield bait and they go straight Night Slash, they just shield one Shadow Ball, you lose, right? That's the biggest downside. Anyway, either way, you're probably gonna lose Charge Attack priority in those situations. Anyway, I Tomahawk's like, hey, look, thank you for misleading my future opponents. It's like, all right, I'll be sure to correct it at the beginning of this episode, and here we are, right? You can send me yourself if you want. It's a 13-8-0 Annihilate, or you can run it yourself too, right? The benefits is there's a breakpoint, bulk point.
I think what Caleb was confused about is like, I don't even know what spread it would be, but like if you have like also a high attack Annihilate that I think has more defense, you can like hit a breakpoint in the mirror without taking an extra counter damage, and then at that point I think you can go straight Night Slash. But like you'd have to be running
I was thinking about high rank.
You'd have to be running an even wonkier spread than Tomahawks in order to hit that extra counter damage without taking it back, and then you could win going straight Night Slash. But like that's even more of a bizarre spread.
Yeah. Anyway, Annihilate matchups are just in general not
guys,
fun.
Math is so hard.
I'm sitting here. It's too early in the morning. It's just washing right over me. I'm hearing Caleb talk, and I'm just
look. I just told Tomahawk I address it, and here we have it. So,
We're
You could
all
do-
square now.
You could do the Sims yourself if you like to see how to play around it, or you could just bring a Gligar in. It's fine. So we had a bunch of events recently as well. Okay, the audacity for Tristen to just hit me up and be like, "Oh, is this still too late for us to do a Stardust bet because it's Triple Stardust this week, right? Or like it's about to end soon." I was like, "What do you mean? I said I'd be down for it. No one else wanted it, but this guy found out there's like an Audino nest near him, and that's why he wants to farm it."
Oh,
You think I'm worried? I'm about to drive like an hour plus to go to Audino nest and I'm about to grind for a couple hours because that's like the best one near me. But did you go to that
I haven't
nest?
gone yet. I might go later today. But
What do you mean you haven't? The event's almost over. You know the event's like done in like 24
Yeah.
hours, right?
Yeah.
look, there's no bet. There's no bet.
I like next time if
I
you all
wish
want to
I
do a
go.
Stardust bet, I'm down. I'm down. You know. I'm
Oh,
down.
I might have to
I
go back to
always-
Italy.
I always start out really enthusiastic when there's like a longer event with Dust, but then it just becomes a little like too busy, and I forget to clean my box, and then I can't catch any more Pokemon, and I'm like, that's a future Kaz problem.
It always looks super exciting, and then after the event's over, you realize you'll drop like 2-star pieces and grind it for like an hour.
Mhm.
And you've actually
Yeah.
lost dust because you built more Pokemon than you actually gained during the event.
Dude, my new phone is like super
That's true.
sensitive, I guess, and I actually unlocked a second move on a nose pass.
That's
Wow, it's just crazy.
oh.
That's
Was
the
it
start
at
of
least
All right,
like-
so we found Caleb's
Was
secret.
it at least a good nose pass?
No, it wasn't, but it was it was 2 times XL. So I was like renaming it for like, you know, for my like big Pokemon selection, and I accidentally like tapped the bottom. I don't even know how I tapped it. I accidentally tapped the second on move, and before I could press no, it like I somehow pressed yes at the same time too. It was really weird.
All right,
Anyway, I have a save.
so we found
still,
Caleb's
so,
secret
but
tech for Worlds. He's wearing a nose pass.
It's no.
Yeah.
I'm literally gonna use it for like little cup at best. It's extra large, and it hits 499 CP. And it's very double move. So at this point, I pretty much just have to run it as a little cup. Is
little
more story.
fossil cup incoming.
please,
Yeah,
I
I
need that.
mean,
I run it with I run it with Bastion as well. It's a little AVP action.
Wait, is it steel too or just
Um,
rock? I think it's just rock, right?
Steel Rock. It's the
No, I
same
thought
type
nose
thing.
pass is just rock.
No, nose pass.
Oh,
is
nose
rock
pass.
only.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Nose pass is just rock. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Is Shield
Robo
on
Pass.
just
No,
rock?
Shieldon's both.
No,
is
Shieldon
it's
is
got
both.
steel, I think.
Yeah.
ABB in the rock format, right? It doesn't have to be rock and steel, right? We don't have to go that crazy with the ABB he's typing. But anyway, we had a Mega Lucario raid day this past weekend. Someone wanted to do a recap on it.
Yeah,
but
which-
was it good for you? I didn't grind that much myself personally. But.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't grind
I did one.
one.
Okay, so this recap was
I
Tristen
mean,
wants to do a recap, right? Because everyone else's recap is real
One
short.
raid for Steve. That's pretty exciting.
That's
pretty
huge.
momentous.
That's so massive. And I almost didn't do any because David Pebble was just like, "Hey, I'll just trade you like my over 1,500 ones if you want one." In
wait,
Great
but
League." So,
wait. Steve
yeah.
did 1 out of 2 days though, because the Aussies got 2
Oh, yeah,
days
yeah.
of raid day
Yeah,
because of
makeup
makeup day.
Wait, you know you also get like 5 free raid passes for free, right?
Oh, I'm very aware. I'm just.
You know,
Yeah.
you're just
I
busy
did-
GPLing, right? That's what you're trying to tell me. All right, you're forgetting.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what I did. I was like, I will do exactly my free passes. And I did 5 because I thought that was it, but then someone told me it was 8, and I was like,
It depended if-
Well, then it was
8?
13.
I don't know.
No, it was 13 with a ticket.
Yeah, did you get the
Yeah.
ticket or
I'm
no?
not sure.
no, I didn't.
Yep.
Because I
Yeah.
knew I wasn't going to raid. Why would I buy the ticket? I knew I would do exactly my free ones because I already have the entire shiny family and the hundo like in my box, so I just didn't feel the need to over grind
Oh, wow.
myself.
You got more shinies and hundos of Lucario than me.
What? All right. So what was your recap, Mr. Raider
I
Tristan?
mean, I didn't do like a crazy number of raids, but I did.
Apparently, it's crazier than any of ours.
yeah.
I think
More
the
than us.
multiplier
More
over
than us
mine is going to be
combined.
huge.
'Cause I didn't use all my free passes either.
He's still scrolling
No, I'm
through all
trying
the
to get
Lucario.
this third
Look
stringer.
at him go!
Dude, how many here you have
I guess
done?
I did. No, I did 36. I guess.
Oh, that's
Oh.
a
I
good
did
chunk.
36 and I got 49 rare XLs total with the ticket.
What are you using the rare XLs on? Wait, I thought it was a guaranteed rare XL for
Yeah,
every
but
one
you
of
also
them.
have a chance to get it from the raid rewards.
So
Yeah.
how did you only get? Wait, how many did you get?
36 raids, and I got 49 rare XLs.
Oh,
So
sorry.
30 yeah.
I thought you said there was less rare XLs. I misheard the number.
No.
Okay, that makes more sense.
The maths.
Yeah. So what are you using your rare
hard.
XLs
I mean,
on?
nothing, because I don't even have 296 yet.
No, not the Lucario. I mean, like in general. I mean, I would assume you wouldn't use rare XL candies on Lucario.
No, I'm saying
right?
I don't have 296 rare XLs yet, so there's no point.
Oh,
in...
200. I thought you said 290, like 96%.
No.
Caleb just is
you.
not absorbing numbers. Apparently, it's
You said
too early for
296,
all
and
of
I'm
us.
thinking like, oh,
I told you guys math was
296%
hard.
IV Pokemon.
Yeah.
Listen.
215,
Oh
14,
my God.
14s. Right?
No, I mean, I don't
I was
even
like-
have enough rare XLs to max anything, is my point. So,
Oh, I got you. Well, I mean, let's say if you did though, what would you spend it on? Do you have something like you were trying to
I
spend? it
mean,
on?
nothing at the moment, but it's just good to have them. Because, like, most of my mythicals have been kind of crap, but
Yeah.
it's like, it's
Oh
a
my God,
resource
yeah.
that's so hard to get that it's like, I feel like you gotta jump on the opportunities where it's easier to get them just to build it up.
Mhm.
I mean, what
Yeah.
are you guys using your Eric
Okay.
for?
Here we go.
Sorry, I'm like throwing a fit. So
Yeah, I heard those over the mic. Jeez.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had to be like, okay, whose mic is this coming from? Because there's multiple possible culprits.
I feel like it's usually most likely Caleb because he has 2 cats, right? So that
Twice
that
the
multiplies the
chances.
chances. I only
well,
have one.
one's a yapper. The other one doesn't really say much. So, but this is the yapper. I'll let her.
Upset.
I don't know. She's begging for attention, and then when I pick her up, she just doesn't want anything to do with me. So, kind of wild.
Well, on that
anyway,
topic, what are you
so-
guys using your Eric cells for?
Nothing. That's the thing. Like that's why I didn't grind it as hard because I'm just like the problem is I have over like 300 something rare XL candies at this point. Let me double check how much I have exactly. I have two. Actually, no. I actually don't have as much. I have 277, so I'm actually not at 296 either myself. But even if I did have it, I don't know what I spend it on because we can't freaking trade these mythicals outside of Meltan, right? So like none of my Zarude or my Meloetta or Zygar or whatever are worth making. So I don't know what to dump it into. I have 100% Hoopa Unbound, but that's it. And like, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah, I definitely feel like mythicals are where I should be spending it, but I'm with you. I don't want to because all mine are terrible.
Yeah, like it's
So yeah, I've put mine into like Pachirisu and my Shundo Ho-Oh because those are like the 2 most valuable things in my box that I think could be use XLs.
Shunda Ho is nice and Master League too.
I would say for the Pachirisu, if you can, just walk it. You'll get there eventually.
But I already walked it forever to be its best buddy.
Oh yeah, I get you. Like when it's already Best Buddy, it feels less like.
My
walking.
Pachirisu,
yeah, it's like I have other things.
I'd never caught one before. Like I only like lucky traded for them, right? And then I finally got a hundo, and I literally walked it for all the XLs. Like I had it level 50, like before they like.
I mean, I
Go
do
Fest.
a lot of walking, but I'm also really bad at my buddy interactions, so I have to be very careful.
I'm bad. Yeah, I'm bad with
Very
the
conscious.
buddy interactions too. So I just try to throw on something I need the XLs for because I know I'll get the XLs like whether I remember to give it like berries or not or anything like that. At least
Yeah, that's a bonus this season, right?
Yeah, you get there's an extra chance of getting extra XL when you're walking stuff. So.
Oh yeah.
But all right. Well, congrats to Tristen on his grind. Big grinder.
Big grinder.
We're not doing a rate.
Big grind.
Congrats to us on our free
challenge,
time, I guess.
Who's the real winner? You decide.
Anyway, we have another event coming up. It's going to be Adventure Week. We talked about it briefly last week, but we have the details now. And no new Pokemon.
No new shinies.
But no new shinies. Yeah, there really is not a single new shiny.
No, there's just like there's really
nothing
new about the
we were
event
so
at
excited
all.
for it, and it's in my opinion a pretty big letdown. No new Pokemon, No new shinies,
Yeah.
and at least last year's Adventure Week had like a bonus for like the better like egg hatch distance, and we don't even get that this year either. So it feels like they took
Yeah,
away
the
the
bonus
best
is
bonus and no new shiny, no new Pokemon. Like it's just a little underwhelming.
dang Niantic, what are you doing? Event bonuses, we got 2 times XP for spinning stops, 5 times XP for spinning a Pokestop for the first time, and 2 times XP for hatching Pokemon. And the increased chance of encountering shiny Pokemon like Cranidos, Shieldon, Tortuga, Archon, Tyrant, and Amora. Hey,
I mean,
as
I do want that shiny Tortuga. I do want it very
That is a good
badly.
shiny.
yeah,
But
yeah,
also,
but
they put a lot of the best spawns aren't even wild spawns, and they're only like field research rewards
Down to the
too.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're
Which
not
is-
listing like Tyrant and Amara as wild spawns.
Nope.
That's
They are in
insane.
eggs and they are in
Oh.
field research tasks.
Tortuga as well, so
Dude.
you're gonna have to hatch some eggs if you want it, Kaz.
And there's no like
I know.
improved egg
making
distance.
me work so hard. I know.
Yeah, so the-
You know?
And like they're in 7Ks specifically.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not even in the ones you spin. They're encouraging you to spin stops and to spin new stops, but then you're not even getting like special eggs from those.
True.
That's bonkers,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like it sort of feels like it's like clashing gameplay stuff.
Dude, the crazy part here is that this event is 10 days long too. It's not even like you know, usually we have like a week event, but it's less than a week. It's like a weekend or like the Stardust event, right? It's less than a week. This event is longer than a week. What is going
Wait, yeah,
on?
okay, so
It's from the 2nd to the 12th.
oh my gosh.
Which is kind of
Yes.
nuts. It's like the first half of August.
And it ends at 11:59 p.m. local time instead of the usual 8 p.m. end time as well.
Oh my gosh! Why can't they do this for the
Wait,
Stardust?
okay, and so also okay, so there's also increased chance to encounter the following shiny Pokemon: Cranidos, Shieldon, Tortuga, Archon, Tyrant, and Amora. The thing is, none of those are wild.
They're
Yeah.
all
They're
in
all
eggs.
eggs in research. So like that bonus, like I mean, I guess you have a better chance if you do a bunch of research tasks, but like that's kind of a pain too. Like it just this event just feels
Yeah,
like
just everything-
very disappointing.
Everything about it. Yeah, everything about it just seems to like the bonuses seem to clash with the way the actual event is working, which is just really frustrating if you are interested in like grinding, in like going out and playing and like encouraging other people to do so.
Yeah, I think that is part of the key point, though, is that if you're interested, because like I'm hearing this and I'm like, oh, this event kind of sucks. Guess I've got 10 days off, baby.
No. Not 10 days off. See, you're missing out on the big part of it because the next event is the shadow event, and that actually does overlap with
True.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
was
yeah,
actually
yeah.
But like and
No, so-
the wild spawns are just kind of disappointing too. Diglett, Ammonite, Kabuto, Dunsparce, Roggenrola, which had a community day, Drillbur, Bunnelby, and if you're lucky, you might encounter an Aerodactyl. Like that's just like such a worse spawn pool than like previous adventure weeks, and like some of these Pokemon like I thought it was normally like rock types, right? But we have this like random like Diglett and like Dunsparce and Bunnelby in there. Like I don't really know what's going on.
You might run into a rabbit on your adventures, you know.
It's like, hey, you know what goes with rocks? Dirt.
Rabbits.
Well, I'm thinking they are ground types, so I guess like they're kind of thinking that's the same, right? Ground types and rock types belong together, sure.
No, but Bunnelby is also mononormal.
Just
Yeah, but it evolves into a ground type.
We're like really stretching it here, guys.
I don't know. Anyway, I think
I'm trying.
The general
I'm
consensus
trying to
that
help.
the event's kind of a letdown for most. I honestly haven't heard of anyone even on social media like really saying they're excited for the event. But
well,
whatever.
I've seen people literally posting screenshots comparing last year's event to this one, and it's like basically the same. Except the bonuses are not as good.
Yeah. And last year, I think we had like new shinies for the first time too.
Last
year
is when we got Tyrant and
new.
Amora as their shiny debut.
And they were rare spawns back then too. Nowadays,
Did we
like everyone has them.
Did we get new Pokemon last year? I cannot remember.
I don't know if we got new ones, but we definitely got new shinies, I think.
Yes, I know that Tyrant and Mora like shiny debut was last
Yeah.
year. I'm not sure if we got like fully new Pokemon.
I know we
But
got.
if you have a new shiny to hunt,
Oh, I
sometimes
know
that
people were
matters less.
posting that
So-
last year we got Mega Tyranitar during Adventure Week as a new.
Oh yeah,
Like it's
Yeah.
not like a
That's
new
true,
wild
too.
spawn, but it was like a new thing
It
to the
is new
game.
though. Yeah.
It looks like that's it. Like there's no other new Pokemon. It's new Mega Tyranitar and then new shinies.
Right, but we got.
Yeah, which I
that's-
mean,
But
from a
there's still new
like
stuff.
from a
Yeah.
grinding perspective,
Now we have
like
none.
there's someone if you're someone who really wants to like hunt that stuff, I mean, it actually does give you something to go for, even if it's like not as exciting as something new. So not having anything new and not having any additional things to like hunt for is just kind
And
of
locking them behind research and eggs, the good stuff.
The good stuff with
Mhm.
the shiny increased chances, and it's like I could
Yeah.
still use like a high rank like Bastiodon, and like I would hunt more like Amora and stuff for the shiny and the XLs and all that, but they're locking that all behind eggs and research. So like I agree with Steve. I'm probably just gonna tune out for most of this event because it's just not it.
yeah, it just
Yeah.
doesn't seem like there's anything like any real benefit to playing very much.
Yeah.
Until the Adventure Week taken over.
That's
Dun, dun,
true.
dun.
Yeah. So we have the next event coming up. It's going to be the Shadow event, and it does overlap with Adventure Week, so it's nice. This is where it gets a little bit better, I guess, because some of the adventure Pokemon are going to be Shadow now. We have Shadow Aerodactyl and Raised, Shadow Tortuga, which is being released. Shadow Archon, I think, is being released as well, and Shadow Timber, which is not like Adventure Week Pokemon, but that's fine. I'm cool with that. And then we were speculating what was going to be back in race. It's going to be Shadow Lugia again, which I'm okay with because it was like only
Mhm.
around for one weekend last time. So I heard it was actually a huge pain to catch. I was going to say I heard. I tried it myself. It was actually a huge pain to catch. But we haven't had this back since like October of last year during Halloween. I think was when we had Shadow Lugia that time.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Um,
And we do get another debut Shadow Legendary, Shadow Cresselia.
yes.
Coming to the
this-
game.
Big.
This is from Giovanni. So obviously Shadow Lugia will be in raids from the 10th to the 11th, but Shadow Cresselia will be the Pokemon you can encounter with Giovanni. And I have a bunch of Shadow Radars banked too. I don't know if it's worth spending it on the Shadow Cresselia or not, or just going for one. But Cresselia is definitely one of those Pokemon where you don't want the breakpoint because the Cycle Cut does very little and you're mostly just using charge attacks. And you kind of want to be able to like outbulk a lot of things. It's already bulky too, right? But it's like
Yeah.
a Bastion. You wouldn't want to go like high attack Bastion by any means.
Well,
But,
I mean, your good friend Tomahawk UK did come second with Shadow Basti. So
no. Even he knew better to run a high attack Bastiodon. His Shadow Bastion lost to a freaking Cresselia, or almost lost to that. Like when I saw that matchup, I was like, I don't know if Shadow Bastion is the play or not here, to be honest. But I mean, I think overall, like winning like against a Gligar in certain situations is nice. So
Yeah, so I
there's
think
definitely
the
pros to it,
Shadow
but-
Cress is kind of interesting. I don't know if it's better or not, but it's definitely a side grade because I think there's some matchups where with the Shadow boost, it can like knock out in like one less charge move sort of a deal, which is
Yeah.
obviously pretty valuable on a Pokemon like Cress, which has like no fast move pressure. So like instead of like almost killing it and needing to get to another charge move sort of a deal. So like it looks like in the one shield just using like default IVs, the Shadow picks up regular Feraligatr, Mantine, Pelipper, and Wigglytuff, and then drops regular Gligar, G-Fisk, which like no one's using. It does drop Annihilate if it gets baited, which is not great, but obviously that's still like bait dependent. So like that's just the one shield. I haven't like dug into it.
Wait. What's the Annihilate matchup? If you get baited,
Yeah, if you get
what if they go like? Can you
Oh,
tank a
no,
Shadow Ball?
he's
is the
talking about
question.
Annihilate Baits again. Ah.
No. This is actually really important actually because I just experienced this in my local this past weekend. Wait, can you tank a Shadow Ball or no?
let me like I was
I
just
think you would
matrixing
be
it, so
able
I'm pulling
to
up the
still
actual
tank.
sim now.
Yeah, because the question is if you can if you can tank a Shadow Ball and survive the ensuing counter. No, I guess probably not, right? Because even if you tank the Shadow Ball, they just counter you down and
So the
shields,
Shadow
right?
Ball's doing
I think that's probably true.
72%.
Okay. And then can
Well,
they counter you down after?
So you're saying like
no, not from
Because
72%.
the thing is, the
Not
Shadow Ball
macro.
does 72, but the counter damage before the Shadow Ball is bring you up to like probably 80 something percentile. So you're only like in like your last like 10-ish percentile of health by the time the Shadow Ball lands, is my guess.
so like if they bait,
Let me just pull
then
this up
if they
because I already
bait,
have Annihilate simmed ready.
That's true.
Yeah.
You do already have them open.
Yeah.
It
they
looks
beat
like
what?
it could actually be a little bit breakpoint bulk pointy with Shadow Crest.
Steve, you can't
Alright,
say
I'll
those
leave
words
the
to me.
math to someone like Tomahawk to figure it out. No, I bring this up because actually, like, this is kind of crazy, right? But I was in my local this past week. I won't say who it is, but I faced someone and they didn't really have an answer to Annihilate Safe Swap. Their only answer was really Cresselia and a Clodsire. I'm like, that's not too bad for Annihilate. So I Safe Swap Annihilate. He comes in Cresselia. I go straight Shadow Ball. He lets it go. He goes straight Moonblast. I shield. And I thought, like, okay, I'm probably going to get bait eventually. But the moment I land one Shadow Ball, I'm like, oh, I'm good. I could just go straight Night Slash here. I kid you not. In the 2 shields, he ends up shielding 2 Night Slashes because he's too low, right, to tank another move. And he goes straight Moonblast 3 times and takes out my Annihilate before I get to another Night Slash. I was like, wait. I literally was like, wait, I thought the sim is if I land the Shadow Ball and I'm the one safe swapping, so I'm a counter ahead, I should be able to just go straight Night Slash and win, right? But his Cresselia was actually so bulky that I couldn't even flip the 2s, and he didn't even have to bait. He just went straight Moonblast. Obviously, if I boosted, maybe that might have changed things. I don't know. But I looked at it too. Like, it wasn't even like if I just counted down, don't throw the Night Slash, I win. I still don't win there too. That was kind of nuts. But my guess is Shadow Cresselia probably can't do that. But even if you have
yeah, I don't think so.
The problem with Shadow Cresselia is also
certainly not.
yeah, the problem with Shadow Cresselia is also, and all Shadows legendaries, is that their base IVs are always 666. I think it's 6. So like no matter what, you can't even have that good of a spread. Like you're going to have some attack on it.
It's one of those Pokemon where I imagine it's going to be stronger in the Ultra League over like the Great League variant.
Yeah, even in Ultra League, as someone that plays a lot of Ultra League, I don't know, because like you can say similar things for Shadow Registeel, but like Ultra League typically like bulk like is like king, and you like even having more bulk, like because things are bulkier. So like even if you hit harder with Cresselia, like you don't like one shot a Mana Buzz or Umbreon by any means, right? You might not even 2-shot with the Moonblast, so it gets a little interesting. I don't know. I think a lot of people are hyped about it, but I don't know if it actually is going to be better than the regular. It could end up just being like one that like Shadow Registeel a little bit. You know, like they're both meta Pokemon, Great League and Ultra League, but they might not actually benefit from the Shadow. But we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone run at Worlds.
I don't think it'll be like a Registeel situation. I think it might be close, not exactly like for Alligator, but closer to a for Alligator situation where both the Shadow and the non-Shadow are viable, but sort of the opposite, because I would say Shadow for Alligator is slightly favored, but probably regular Cress is slightly favored, but there's definitely trade-offs.
Does the regular Cresselia win the mirror? Or is it like...
I think that's probably IV dependent, like CMP dependent and stuff.
Yeah, because the problem with the Shadow is that you just can't have a good spread. Whereas you could have a really good spread Cresselia, right? It's just that's a big limiting factor for sure. But it's a little less cut and dried than the Registeel matchup, right? Because Registeel is just like whoever lands 2 moves wins.
Yeah.
Right. But whereas Cresselia is like the little extra HP might matter. But I don't know. Either way, I mean, it's definitely interesting for sure to
we
look
can't
into.
trade Shadows still, right? Yeah,
not.
only purified. So yeah, whatever spreads you get from Cresselia is what you're stuck with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's a tough one as far as like, because you said you had extra radars banked up, but if you're looking for something PvP relevant, it's better than most of the other stuff. Like, what was the last like good thing we had? Like Shadow Regirock, I guess. Like this is probably better than
I used all mine for Shadow Mewtwo.
No, that's fair though. Yeah, I used all mine back in the day for Shadow Mewtwo, but I've had a bunch banked in the past. whatever.
I mean, I guess the
rotations,
question is, what
but,
are you saving it for?
what's a Shadow Legendary that's not out yet?
I mean,
Shadow Giratina.
true.
Shadow Giratina could be. I don't know. That might be kind of like hard to use. Giratina altered, maybe.
I mean, if it
Shadow
just
Giratina
lets me
altered?
have a Great League Giratina, because I'm still hunting. Like
Shadow-
No, me
just
Shadow
too.
give me one.
Cobalion,
I
Shadow
see. It's been so
Virizion.
frustrating in GBL, like to see all these people making content about Fantasy Cup with like the Giratina origin form, and I'm like, must be nice.
Yeah, that's 100% what I'm running too. 100% what I'm running.
Dang it!
And that thing is busted.
Because it's like so great in this cup, and there's like no other really good alternatives. Like you really only have like other dragon options, and none of them really have like the same coverage. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, cool.
Mine could tank a play rough from Azumarill, but it also could tank a play rough from Dedenne.
Dang.
Like it's
Mine is not that
He's a
good,
bad
but
boy.
I still have one at least.
Yeah, it's it's very strong. It's very strong in this meta. One of the harder Pokemon for sure, but either way, we have so some interesting shadows for sure. I don't know if this will really shake up the world's meta by any means.
Shadow Crest is so.
I think if anything, it's going to be the Cresselia that shakes it up. Everything else, like Tortuga, Timber, Archon, they're not
No one's
going
gonna
to
use those in like anything.
No. But I think what most people are looking forward to is being able to TM all frustration.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's always the key to every shadow event, and that
Yeah.
might change some people's like teams and strats for worlds. Is if they're able to have new shadows.
Yeah. So that will be Thursday, 12 a.m. to the following Monday at 11:59 p.m.
And then I feel like the one big thing that we don't know, because it's not going to be announced, is like what the shadow rotations look like, because it's possible they bring back some things that haven't been around for a while. Like, for example, if they brought back Shadow Cyndaquil, I know a lot of people would be excited about that because that hasn't been around for I think a couple years. So like
Shadow Magnemite,
right? Shadow Magnemite, stuff like that, where again, it's not a new shadow because it's already been released, but it's not been around for a while, and hasn't been around probably since before it was meta relevant. So like, fingers crossed they bring back some of those things. But
Shadow Seadra I need too, because that Summer Cup was stupid broken. Shadow Kingdra. So, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll probably have more details. Honestly, we probably wouldn't know until the week
until it
of,
starts,
but
yeah,
that's fine.
And then
I doubt we'll get any more information between now and then.
Yeah.
What do you?
But that's fine. We'll cover.
What
it
do
when
you
it
guys
happens.
think though? So some people are noting the fact that they skipped Shadow Rayquaza and went to Shadow Cresselia, right? Because we had Groudon and Kyogre before, and like we've had Latias, and they skipped Rayquaza.
I think that's gonna be like its own special thing.
Yeah.
Like with a really big debut, like not just a takeover weekend or something. I feel like Rayquaza has always been a part of like bigger events when it's.
It's definitely more of a fan favorite too. Honestly, also I'm okay with it because Shadow Rayquaza probably doesn't have that much relevance in PvP either. Like it's probably less utility than Cresselia, but
although again, I want one, so if that's how I have to get one,
because you could use it in Great League. Yeah, that's
Hey, that Shadow Dragon Ascent is gonna hit like a truck, guys.
Dude. And then you're going to throw a big breaking swipe that's not going to get debuffed or debuffing anything, and then you lose because you don't get.
Hey, it'll be Mormon Matt's Luster Purge all over again.
See, Luster Purge is different though because it actually could do some damage, but
so can Dragon Ascent.
That was.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, Dragon Ascent. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you said. I don't know what I thought you said. Yeah, Dragon. You know how hard it is to get to a Dragon Ascent? I'm pretty sure it's way more energy than Luster Purge. Let me just double check.
70 energy.
Yeah, let me just see this real quick. So Dragon Ascent is 70 energy. Actually might be kind of close. No, Luster Purge is 60. And getting to 70 energy on a Rayquaza
on a shadow.
On a shadow too. Dude, you might just get taken out from the mud shots of a freaking Swampert at that point. Not actually, but Yeah, I don't know. That's just a spice pick.
Oh,
I think. But, I
definitely.
mean, I'm sure some people would like it. But.
Hey, question.
Yeah.
I was looking for
You
what
raised your hand just now.
hey,
Yeah,
hey
absolutely.
guys,
Steve, you
just
know, there's actually a
cue.
raise your hand option in
Oh, there is.
Zencaster.
What's your question?
Or Babyface 2 has something to say.
Yeah, what you got, Racha?
I looked up Latias and on PvPoke, and it's got Mist Ball as a legacy move on there. What the heck is Mist Ball? If I missed ball or something, like what?
Wait, Miss Ball, isn't that that's the other equivalent of Luster Purse
Yeah,
for
it's a
Latias?
signature move.
So Latias,
I don't have one.
Latias has
Of course you
Mistball,
don't.
and then Latios has Luster Purge.
Oh, I don't have
Look at
Luster
this.
Purge either. Did I have to
Yeah.
raid? Is that what's happened?
Yep.
You could elite TM.
Classic.
Did I have to raid?
Look at this. The Battlecast podcast educating our audience and our co-hosts at the same time.
Hey,
Here to
well,
help.
I've got some things that I need traded to me, I guess.
Well, the thing is,
Well,
like
Good
for
thing
the
Worlds
thing
is
is
coming
for
up.
for like if you want those moves in Great League, it would have to be from the research encounters, and you'd have to just delete TM it.
Yeah.
oh, I'll just do that then. Screw
or you
raiding
could have
trading.
caught some in the wild during the
Oh,
last
true.
last
Yeah,
year's.
yeah.
True.
Remember
Oh,
that
that's
thing?
true. During
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
what was
Yeah,
that?
I got
Holy
it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not really coming through on the camera with the
240.
green screen, but that 240
Yeah.
CP Latias just
Yeah, so
elite
you
TM
can,
that puppy.
You can elite TM that. Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
and don't use it in GPL until after his best. That's all I'm saying.
August 2nd. I'm
know it's
Wait,
eligible
wait,
in
wait,
Fantasy
it's
Cup,
eligible in
but,
You
Fantasy
can do
Cup.
what you want. You
No
don't
one will
have
see
to
it
listen
coming.
to him.
Steve,
Look, am I really sweating here? We got Kaz just like drooling over all the Giratina Orchard that's beating her at GPL, right? I'm curious about this ELO check.
Steve, just run the Latias ABB line in Fantasy Cup. What can go wrong?
You could run Charm Latias though.
That's
that is
true.
true.
That is very
True.
true. You'd
At
really
that
throw
point, just
those
run
up.
Wicked. What are you doing? Running a
Yeah.
non-stab Charmer.
Yeah.
That's
Do
also
you-
weak
Do
to
you want your
Charmer.
Well,
charmer
should
to be
we-
weak
should
to
we-
dragon?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's talk about the ELO check now that because I'm just curious now.
I was gonna say, should we go ahead and check in on that?
Yeah.
since
Let's
we're-
check. Let's check in on this
Okay.
because I'm very
All right,
curious.
Let
All
the
right.
pain begin.
I was
listen,
pretty high up there, and then I dropped a bunch because
yeah.
freaking.
Well, once again, I thought that I was on the verge of making it to veteran finally, and then I don't know, when I was experimenting a lot at the beginning of Fantasy Cup, and just it all went to heck.
Okay, what the heck? Yeah, what's your ELO at, Kaz? We'll start with you, and then we'll go around.
Currently, I have a set I need to finish, but currently 2155. It got bad.
2155. Okay, what about you, Tristan?
I dropped some points too. I'm at
Oh, I love to hear
26.
music to my ears.
2662.
Tristan, you're supposed to be helping.
2662. All right, Steve, what you got?
No. I want to go last. Here.
Okay, you can go last. I was at 2900s and I dropped some. I'm at 2866.
Okay.
Okay, what am I working with here?
I mean, quick maths here is that I only need to have 1952 to be ahead here.
Okay, but what do you actually at? 'Cause that's not
1951.
over, right? So I took more of a cushion room if I can, right? Just in case.
So when I last actually did an ELO check, which was like 3 weeks ago now, because we pre-recorded the one and then I wasn't around last week, I was at like 1960-ish.
Mhm.
And then I think in last week's check, I was at about 2140, which I think
Okay.
might have put us slightly behind.
Yes.
Fantasy Cup started, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put a little ABB together. We'll just go Azumarill double steal. It's happy
Okay.
day.
I like it.
Okay.
I played for 1 day. I did all my sets, and I went up a grand total of, well, I'm now at 2380.
Let's go. 2380.
So
we're big up right now. Let me do some
I'm
calculation
sorry.
maths.
hang on, 2380. We are currently 429 elo ahead.
I'm feeling pretty good. All right. So the goal is we all take a screenshot of our respective elo.
I've only done one set today, so
I haven't
coming.
done any sets today, so but I might be going downward too because I've been, you never know. So all right, so I think we all take a screenshot in 2 days from now. No. 3 days from now. Actually.
3
We actually have a
days.
little bit of
Yeah.
time. We actually have a little bit of time here. Shoot, a lot could happen in 3 days.
Wait.
Steve,
Is
if
it the
you're feeling,
start of the day or the end of the day?
Do we want to
This
set
is-
like
let's set a
like
time.
when we started this podcast recording time?
Okay. So yeah, so an hour before this, 3 days from now.
Yeah.
I'll set a calendar reminder. So
Yeah.
GBL bet ends, and then we all take a screenshot.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get the screenshot when I wake up because I presumably will not be up yet. But
yeah, feel free to
Trust,
do your
bro.
sets at midnight. You know, if you need to, if you feel it.
I'll be honest, man. I don't think I'm touching this app. I'm gonna leave it at 2380 and chill.
No. What do you mean? They could both still be climbing. I know. Cass is going to be starting hitting up some locals, like, hey, you got Giratina Origin? You could trade me real quick.
Yeah.
Fantasy Cup also, like, I got bad memories because Fantasy Cup was the cup I lost my bet against Anacori, and that got me this blonde hair.
I'm gonna hit him.
It was
I'm
Fantasy
gonna have
Cup.
Anacor
It
for
was
some
this-
team ideas.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hit him
Send
up.
a
Hit him
message
up.
right
Yeah.
now.
He's like
Good luck hearing
he's
from
like
him.
a whole year behind on.
That'll
the
be
bet,
the only
so
thing to
he'll be
bring
okay.
him
Yeah.
out of his missingness.
Hey, listen, it hasn't changed that much.
Oh yeah, it has.
Except for the
Nah.
Giratina.
Giratina,
Yeah.
No,
Stealing
honestly,
Napoleon,
I didn't.
Nature's Madness.
I didn't
Palpatine.
reanalyze the meta. I had a chat to Zoe when Fantasy Cup started, and I was just like, my info 6 months out of date, but I'm just gonna run this, and hey, it's
I
apparently
lost to-
paying off. So
I lost to a Drampa the other day.
whoa,
Let me tell you,
God.
because that normal dragon type, it really does counter Giratina.
I did counter the Giratina.
And it was beating Flygon too because the dragon breath pressure. I was like, what?
Wait,
the
so
heck
what's
is
your
going
what's
on?
your
And someone that
team?
already hit
What's your
Legend.
team then?
My team? I'll tell you.
No,
after
well,
the
that's what we
podcast.
did last
I'll
week.
tell
Too.
you.
No,
Yeah,
everyone
that's
says what they're
over, 'cause-
running.
You know, for the home stretch, I might need to hold out a little bit. Stay tuned for the YouTube video, Tristan. It might
Mhm.
drop later today. Oh, you know he's holding out the sets. I'm gonna drop this video at 11:59 p.m. Because he's like, oh, I got Giratina too. What's going on? I'm not.
Use it. Use it
I'm-
to your advantage.
I'm not worried about Kaz and Steve. I don't think they have gear. Do you have Giratina, Steve?
no.
Yeah. So Steve.
Yeah,
See,
we're
if this was
both
benefiting
on the
Steve too,
struggle bus.
maybe I think. About it. Just use
Nah.
a Zero double seal. You know, it's working for Steve. You know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
giving me hundreds.
Yeah. But I mean, Open Great League is also open too right now, so that is also an
That's
option.
even worse.
Yeah, honestly, I've really started to dislike Open Great League. It just feels like there's just a lot of matchups that just like you have no play, even if you play it perfectly.
We just need to see a Smackdown nerf, a Charm nerf, a Razor Leaf nerf. Might be okay.
Yeah, can I put in some requests?
Yeah, a Gligar nerf, a Skarmory nerf,
Nah,
maybe.
Just get that
Nine
tap
nerf.
nonsense out of here. There's so many people that are running like double Charm
Yep.
still and Basti like Grass Hole and like Basti Wiggly Shadow Vic. Like,
Dude, those people are ruining Basti for everyone else. I faced a
Mhm.
Basti mirror match the other day, and this is like, you know, like 2800s elo, 2900s. They threw a Stone Edge at my
What?
Basti on the mirror. I was like, dude. I mean, of course, they're running like some DGen nonsense like Bastion, Carbink, and something else. I don't remember the third.
Ugh.
And the fun thing is, I won on a timeout, and I won with the sliver of health on my Bastion because they threw this freaking Stone Edge. And I no shield the Stone Edge because I had a shield remaining. I shielded the second move, but at first I was like, well, I can let one go. And they threw a Stone Edge. I was like, what are they doing? This is like high elo too. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I mean, I faced Bastion in like leaderboards too, like post Legend, and they've also thrown Stone Edge on
What?
Bastion. It makes no sense. Like you know, it wasn't like I was going for a catch. I think I was
right.
locked in.
And like even if they were running
That's
some
worse.
like weird Flash Cannon stuff, you should just throw the Flash Cannon at that point. Like I don't
Yeah,
understand.
they weren't even at Flash Cannon. Yeah.
They're
Look, when I say I'm the best Basti player in the world, the competition is not very high. Like it's me and Jason.
they're just
That's it.
it's like they're just doing it out of respect. They're like, my Bastiodon cannot beat your Bastiodon, right? Like
yeah, and they did not. Yeah, that's true. It's true. Yeah, bow down to the king. But okay, we got Kaz's corner and
Yes.
Steve. I don't know if you heard last
actual.
episode, but Cass was being nice, and she didn't actually.
Yeah.
I did.
She didn't
I
actually.
did not ask.
And
the
this is
question
after
so
you
that
tried to
can
overthrow her authority too.
Hey, I'm just
wrap
throwing out
it.
questions. I
True.
appreciate it, Kaz. I was definitely
All right.
expecting to just be at the deficit, but oh well,
All right.
I'll take it.
Well, I think the format that we've been doing of me asking the question and then you guys sending
Yeah.
your answers on Discord simultaneously works really well. So that's what we're going to do again. So the question for this week of Kaz's Corner is, why does Dewpider wear a bubble around its head?
Oh,
Is it Jupiter or Jupiter?
oh no.
Dewpider?
It's a spider, so it's Dewpider, right?
Well, I don't know. I'm legit. I'm legitimately asking because I'm not sure either.
I don't know what
It's-
the Pokemon company says, but
It's not a Pokemon that we ever usually cast, so like I'm not worried, right? Like
Yeah.
if someone's using a Dewpider or Jupiter in a tournament, hey,
I'm gonna do
props.
that next time
Yeah,
Caleb
mad
casts.
mad
Just
Yeah, you do that. You do that. You do that.
Yeah. So again, the question is,
I'll be the big
why
loser there.
does Dewpider wear the water bubble around its head?
Okay, I didn't realize it was. Can I Google a picture again? Because I didn't realize it was like wearing
You can Google a
the
picture.
picture. Yeah. Oh, so that's
Cannot
like.
look up.
I just assumed that that's like part of it, but it's just a water bubble.
yeah, I thought that was just
Yes.
like its head.
Oh.
And again, these answers, like I'm pulling this information straight out of the Pokedex.
Why does it wear? Okay, so let's
Yeah.
type our answers.
I feel like I've got two different routes to go here.
1,000.
So again, whenever you're
1,000.
so type out your answers, but do not hit send yet. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I've got a guess.
I have one too, but I feel like it's like too obvious and it might not. I don't know though, because it's not like I don't know if Cass will pull a trick question on us either, right? I think it's just. I don't know.
I have,
Gotta go
I have
with
no
two-
idea.
Gotta
Two
go with your
guesses, I'm
gut
picking
feeling.
one.
All right, I feel like we all might guess the same thing, but
I'm
all
ready.
right, we ready?
Okay,
Sure.
Tristan, you
I
ready?
don't know if I'm just guessing
All right.
something random.
You could just put IDK. That's fine too. That's a totally.
I called dibs
So
on
you
Steve's
can-
other answer.
So you can you
yeah,
can hit
Steve,
send
write IDK for your other
right
answer.
now. Hit
Now.
send. Okay, so
Oh, that's a good one.
Caleb's answer is it can't breathe underwater, so it uses it to ensure that it can survive under the water.
I
False.
thought that's why everyone. Oh dang!
Steve's first answer was 1,000.
Cass
but we're
wasn't even
not
going to give me
count
any
that.
hope. He was just like, "You're
And
wrong."
then
Right off
Steve
the
said
bat.
to make sure it doesn't dry out, and then which is also like not correct.
Okay. All right.
And then
Sounds close,
TUSL
though.
said because it breathes water, which I think is technically the closest. Because
Yeah.
the
So wrong,
answer is
right?
that it can only absorb oxygen from water. So the only way it can breathe is by surrounding its head with water.
Oh, it's like a fish, like where like
so
they,
it technically
they
still breathes oxygen, but it's like taking
yeah, it's not
it in.
breathing
Yeah.
water in though,
It
right?
is-
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
fish.
Not
fish do
breathing
that, right?
water.
Isn't that?
yeah, that's what.
Well,
yeah, fish
they
like
take in
abs-
water through their gills and
Yeah.
then like remove the oxygen to absorb,
Oh.
and then
Oh.
like the water.
Is that what the
back out.
Dewpider does as well, or like they didn't get into
Pretty
that
much, yeah.
detail? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
It
they don't
doesn't
have-
go into
they-
that much detail, but like
Yeah,
I'm
I was
making
like-
an
I was
educated
like, let me see
guess.
the gills on
Yeah,
that
look-
Dewpider.
Look at this picture again. I don't know.
So,
how to know.
Yeah, so I think so technically I think Tristan probably gets a point for that because like it does technically take in the water and then like absorb the oxygen and let it out.
Yeah.
But that's why it has to have the bubble on its head.
Yeah. Honestly, Caleb, when I started reading your answer, I thought that's what you were saying, but you're saying like the complete opposite. If it can't
Yeah,
breathe underwater, so it puts water on its head. I don't,
Well,
Yeah.
okay, I wasn't. Let me put it this way. I thought like I wasn't even sure it was like a water. What did you say? It was like a water helmet. I thought it was
She
like
said it was a
Yeah.
bubble,
what?
right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a bubble, but what's inside the bubble? Air, right?
yeah.
No, it's water. It's a bubble of water.
Yeah, I
It's like
see
a
where you're
water
I
coming
know, but
from.
when you say bubble, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, standard bubbles don't have water
I said
inside them.
bubble of
Yeah.
Oh,
water.
maybe she
I
did.
said it was
We'll have
water.
to check the
Yeah,
recording.
but bubble of water, I'm thinking like it's a bubble made of water. Like the bubble is made of, you know how like
Yeah.
you could make bubbles out of soap,
All right,
right?
well, sound off in your YouTube comments
Look.
about whether Caleb deserves.
I don't know. I'm wrong, right? I'm wrong, but I'm just saying that's where my head's at. I'm thinking like they look like little astronauts, right? Like you
So,
put it
Yeah,
like this so you can survive.
So Dewpider and its so for our now that we're into the fun fact section,
Yeah.
Dewpider and its evolution arachnid, they're likely based on sea spiders, which are technically arthropods. They're not like arachnids, so they're not like spiders. But
Sea spiders aren't spiders.
yeah, sea spiders are not technically spiders.
So you're saying arachnid is
They
not an
are
arachnid?
Wait,
Probably
sea spiders look
not.
like. Oh,
They
those
look like
freaky.
spiders. Yeah, they do.
Wait, they have like 8 legs though. That
They
doesn't
do.
make them.
No,
Yeah,
Because
they
they're
do
not, like-
kind of look like
Yeah.
crabs.
Dude, these things look
They're-
crazy weird.
they're like distantly related, but they're not like technically the same, right? But they
So
look
they're-
very weird when you look them up.
You all ever seen Aliens?
No.
They look like the face huggers in Aliens.
Yeah, they do. They
Wait.
do really.
Yeah.
Don't these guys look a little bit like those dudes from Men in Black?
Maybe.
So Hawaii itself, like the reefs around Hawaii, has about 15 different variations of sea spiders. And I don't think from the reference, like from the research I did, I don't think any of the ones around Hawaii look quite as scary as some of the other ones around the world. They're like much smaller. But like we were talking about with the trivia question, sea spiders do actually like have that same process of taking in water like through their legs. Actually, they have like specialized gill-like structures on their legs, and they like take in water from there and process it in the rest of their body and then like let it out. They're so weird, you guys.
I know when Arachnid first came out, a lot of people thought it looked kind of creepy too, right? Like kind of menacing, but
Mm-hmm.
thank goodness they don't actually look like sea spiders because those look way creepier.
Those
Just Google
things
sea
look
spider.
way more horrifying.
I don't know which of these photos are like fake or not too, because some of them look like they might be fake images, but I'm not
Well,
even
the
sure.
thing is, like I said, the ones that I like was looking up in Hawaii, like in and around Hawaii specifically, like in their reefs, are much smaller. They're not nearly as like menacing looking. They kind of look like floating like pieces of algae with like legs sticking out. But like there are species of sea spiders around the world that are like massive, right? Those are the ones you're talking about. Some of those live near Antarctica. And it's called, like, there's a phenomenon actually called polar gigantism, where things around the poles just tend to get bigger to help them deal with, like, all the pressures of living underwater and everything.
So it's like real life. So
Science!
it's like real life Gigantamax.
Exactly, yeah.
All right,
So
well,
now you've had your fun facts in Kaz's corner,
Yes.
and you're gonna go look at sea spiders and be
yeah,
horrified.
look up sea spiders.
Maybe
You're
Caleb
welcome,
will add
everybody.
some sea spider pictures to the YouTube version.
I
I
don't know which one's real, which one's not. So you're gonna have to discern that for yourself. 'cause I don't know
I'll
if
send you
people-
I'll send you some of the art, like the articles that I have saved.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
found
yeah.
some pretty good resources.
Definitely an interesting one for sure. Well, no one gets points for that one.
Don't look at them before you go to bed.
Oh
I
no,
think
wait,
if anyone-
didn't Tristan?
No, I think Tristan should get points because
Caleb's
What?
trying
They're
to-
not breathing
Caleb's
in
trying
water
to
though.
rob
They're breathing in
your
oxygen.
points.
they're taking in.
Yeah.
They do take in water, and then they process the oxygen out. So
You said
that's
because it breathes water. Look, it's up to Kaz, right? I'm just trying to say, like, I don't know. This guy didn't even know what he was
there's
typing half the time before he wrote it out. It's like I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just gonna
Nah.
write breathe and water in here.
Obviously, Kaz gets final say, but I am on,
if you
I'm
want
on
to give him
board
the
for this
point,
one.
Kaz, I'll add it on.
I think that Tristan is the closest to
He's the
what
closest,
actually
but Steve
does
was the
happen.
closest that other weekend. He didn't get points, right?
Whoa.
Oh.
Well,
Bring up
because his answer, like Steve's answer in that other week, like didn't actually sort of come from like what the Pokedex said. It's kind of like what we assumed happened, but not what we know from
Yeah.
the source. That was my reason
even
for
though.
Steve not getting a point. Is because the Pokedex is never going to say because of evolution.
Yeah, it's not going to take that hard stance.
It's it's gonna blame a magical flower.
Yeah. I will say, as
Yep.
someone with some chemical engineering background, that Caleb's technically correct on the bubble front, in that a bubble technically has gas in the middle, but he's wrong. So too bad, so sad.
But you see my train of thought, right? When
Yeah,
this is-
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, because otherwise it's not a bubble, it's just a ball of water. But all right, I'll give Tristan the point if Kaz is down for that. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, it did cross my mind too. I'm thinking it's a bug water type, so I was like, if it can't survive underwater, like what's the water type? Right? It makes no sense.
The thing is, it can't survive above water.
Yeah.
So it only
well, that makes more sense.
It only wears the water on its head when it's above water. So technically, if it's in water, it doesn't have that.
What's keeping the water around it? Wouldn't the water just drop onto the ground?
It's a magical Pokemon.
Wait. So that means that a Dewpider and an Arachnid look real different underwater, right? They don't have the bubble.
Yeah, it looks like I would
picture of
imagine
that?
because it looks like it's holding. Like when you look at the pictures, it has its little arms up.
Yeah.
It looks like it's actually holding the
That's
water
exhausting.
in place. Yeah. Because I was looking at. I was recently drawing some Dewpiders for another project, and then I was looking up all the trading card game art, and there are some where it's like literally like letting go of the water to like
Oh
spray it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So those are arms that are around it, right? Like that it can use, but it's like using those arms to hold water in place when it's not like in water.
Yeah.
Pokemon are weird. Nature is also very weird.
Sure,
and I love it.
Weirder.
If Cass's Korner has taught us anything.
Yeah. All right, let's go down to our spotlight for the week. We have. Oh yeah, so we have our LATAM spotlight, but I know Steve also wasn't here for last episode, so let's cover Steve's EU spotlight first. But yeah.
So I didn't realize that I sort of had to pick, so I sort of didn't realize until I listened to the episode, and I went, oh yeah, I probably should get a top pick and a dark horse together. So for my EU top pick, I took the name that was almost. It would be a shame if they didn't end up in the top pick slot, and that was Colin66 or Coin66 if you want to read what his name actually is written as.
It's
a
capital I. Yeah.
There's no L.
I was going crazy
Yeah.
trying to find his Dracovish profile.
You've got to type in coin.
Well, no, but I was typing in, it wasn't showing up. I was like, is Dracovish broken again? And then I went to an event page for one of the European events, went to his profile, and I was like, no, I'm spelling it right. What is wrong? And finally realized it was an I.
Yeah. I think I had to write his name for some stream or something that he was battling in, and the font that I was using sort of made it clear that it was actually an I, not an L, and he was like, you're spoiling it.
Well, the most confusing part is his Twitter, I think, uses an L.
Are you
yeah,
sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty hard to find him if you had to just know that it was actually an I. Yeah, it uses an L.
So that's what makes it even
Oh
more
my
confusing.
Yeah, that is kind of confusing. You know, someone else that does that. It's
Not
what do you
its
call it?
accent.
No, it's
Lick
not Ivy Pips. It's LV Pips.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It's little tips. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
But also IV Pips on Twitter, X. So there you go. Anyway, this Coin or Colin guy, whichever way you want to roll with him, he's one of the best in Europe. Literally came first in his first ever Play Pokemon tournament back in 2023 at Lille, I think it was. Came 33rd at Worlds last year, getting taken out by the Torino double threat of Andrus and Paul Usher. And then this season, Colin's sort of been absolutely tearing it up with just 2 first place finishes, Stuttgart and Bologna, a second place in Dortmund, top 8 here, top 16 there, just racking up stacks. And then also just had a gazillion championship points and ended up 3rd on the global championship point leaderboard with 1,280 or 90 championship points, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of cracked. So it would be remiss to not think that he could definitely do pretty well at Worlds this year, to say the least. But
Good shout.
that's top pick. And then we also have now technically this is in the dark horse slot, but I think across the board the EU dark horses have been controversial as far as their denotion as dark
You don't think
horse.
Young Kaz is a dark horse?
Like, I actually think that one's a fair one. That's good.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's definitely sticking.
He actually
to
had the lowest votes on the dark horse one, but if anything, that just further emphasizes he's the dark horse pick.
Yeah, no. Objectively, the most dark horse. My one, you could argue definitely not, seeing as he did actually win a regional championship, or maybe it was a special event actually.
Special event,
but it's Z Zweilis. Yeah, won a special event in Barcelona. Came fourth in Dortmund this season as well, and I think he's just a guy that has an ability to read the meta really well, in that he sort of understands what is currently being used in the meta, and he sometimes uses picks that it's not like he goes complete spice. He doesn't use things for the sake of being different, but he uses picks that he sees can break the current meta and can be good against what people are currently using. He's got a pretty good mind for analysis as well. And then he just, came top 16 at NAIC as well.
Yeah.
So he's definitely using it.
Honestly, if he just brought Bastion / carbon counters, he could have gone even further. But that was like that matchup was too free for Elam. But yeah, definitely doesn't shy away from the spice picks. He had a crazy catch too in against Bopper actually on day one in the winners finals, which was kind of nuts. But he did one of those plays where he caught and then threw a move at the same time. I made a video on this one, so I called it a sync swap because this is that weekly segment. But Palmer himself was like, yeah, let's call it a sync swap. Because I was shopping around for names on what the play is. But essentially, what the play is, you swap when they're about to throw a move. And so essentially, what happens is when you swap at the end of their last turn of their fast attack, and then when they throw their move, because they're throwing a move and you swapped in during that move, you end up getting a whole fast stack through. So like you force them to throw on like bad timing essentially, because you end up, it's not just a catch, it's a catch and you get the move through. So if you swap right when they are throwing the move, then you don't get anything, right? You just catch a move. But essentially it's one of those times where it has to be on non-even turn durations, or you just pause or something. Anyway, he said it should be called a sync swap, which looking back, kind of, I might need to rename that because I don't know if there's an actual terminology on it, but sync swap doesn't really make too much sense to me still. But he did a sync swap. So this is why I said on Bopper, he swapped in and caught I think he caught a move from the Magna Zone onto his Skeldurge. It was originally against Dragonite, and in the process threw a full Incinerate when Bop was.
Oh yeah, I think he caught a mirror shot, or resisted mirror shot, and got a whole Incinerate through.
Yeah, exactly. Which is that's what a sync swap is. But I don't know if anyone has a better name for that. Let me know. I have to remake my video. But
a sneak swap.
Sneak swap. I know.
I can't
remember. Well, yeah, it's like something like I remember. I think that actually was one of the names that me and Polly were workshopping, but he didn't like it for some reason. I think he was just like, sneaks are like, I don't know, because sneaks are usually like it's usually describing a mechanic that's not supposed to happen, I guess, right? Whereas the way you do it like that, it is supposed to happen. I think he said sync swap because you're like syncing up the.
That's too technical.
I don't even remember what the rationale. I know exactly. It doesn't. It also, when you say it, it doesn't like. It's not what people instantly assume, right? If you say like when they do like the CMP like sack swap or something, like where you throw you swap and you throw the move and you win CMP at the same time, like that makes sense, right? But I don't know how to describe this situation to make it make sense. I might have to rename it, but I don't know how.
So you're saying this is our weekly roast Palmer's up segment?
For now, there might be a two-parter. You never know.
Watch out.
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, good picks though from C for sure. Let's go into our LATAM.
I'm still debatable if some of these people who have won a tournament this season is really a dark horse.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I
I corrected course
mean-
for the LATAM pick, at least.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know
I don't
about
know
you
if-
guys.
I don't know if any of my dark horse picks have won a tournament. I don't think this season.
I
Who
know-
was
Booty, did
your...
not win.
I know
Booty
one
was
of
the APAC
mine
one.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
I've got to pull up the
I
Twitter.
think it was just the I think
Check
it
out
was.
these
I think it was just the
polls.
EU because Kaz had Arceus Aurelius and Steve had Zweilous, and
Yeah.
both of them were tournament winners.
What about
Mhm.
APAC? Did any of you pick APAC players that?
APAC's harder though because like we really only have the data for like
I don't
one
think
event.
that any of these guys were tournament. Booty didn't win one, did he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So
Booty
none
did
of those dark horses.
Okay,
were-
how about this? Going into our future top picks for LATAM and NA, you can't have any regional or tournament winners from this
Okay.
season. Maybe last season, sure.
Yeah.
Last
Well, we
season was
can't.
kind of questionable.
you know.
I don't know. Huh?
Yeah. We can't
saying
change
no-
it for this
you're
one,
saying-
obviously, if someone's already
Yeah.
picked someone.
You're saying no.
You
winners,
got
right?
a
So,
few
like,
seconds to change up your pick. Is what I'm saying. I'll go first if you need to. Look, I
my-
originally
my
had
dark
two
horse
different
has
picks for my
not
top
won.
pick. Wait, what?
Yeah, my dark horse for this time has not won one. They've top cut. But
That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
That's what I'm
same,
hearing.
same.
Maybe Dark Horse should never have won one.
Yeah, I think
If
that's
they
good.
won one back in season 1, there ain't no Dark Horse. Everyone knows them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I kick things off for this one in case people need some more time on their Dark Horse. 'Cause I don't know how that's going. So my top pick for this one is going to be Desynct, who, I don't remember the exact specific tournaments, but I'll just pull up his Dracovis so that we have a general sense. I mean, some could say it might be a dark horse pick, but I think a lot of people, especially within the Grassroots community, knows about Desynct. But anyway, last year only played in Santiago, Chile, so I think it was his first ever tournament and got 13th there. So nothing too crazy, but and then this season, this thing is pull up. What first tournament was LAIC, 25th there, which again, not too bad, right? I think probably still close to top cut there, and then won first place at Buenos Aires, second place at the Santiago Regional, and then first place at another qualifier. I don't remember, a special event I think, but I don't remember what the name of it.
Was it Lima?
But that was.
Let me look.
Oh yeah, I think it was Lima. Yeah, I think it was
Lima
Lima.
or
This
Santiago.
Yeah, it was Lima.
This was all. Yeah, it was Lima. This was all within the span of a single month. First, second, and first in 1 month, which is nuts, right? Obviously, all the competition he faced were from LATAM, so who knows how he fare on a global stage. But I think our LATAM players are actually quite good. I mean, second and third at NAIC this year was LATAM.
And he played
right?
some of the top.
If you throw hard
He
Jeff,
played some of the top Latin players too. Like he had some
Yeah.
tough
Yeah.
competition for sure.
Yeah, I can't really see data from the special events, but for Santiago the regional, he lost to Ventuski. He beat Jorginho. Other names I recognize. He beat Ventuski in the rematch. He beat Paulinho Tad. He beat Memi in I think that's a losers finals, and then he lost to Varo, who's the eventual winner in the grand finals.
I have up.
Pretty
I
impressive
have
run.
Lima up right
Huh?
now. In Lima, in the it was a like
It
was Swiss
and then
into
top
a 8-person single elim top cut, but in like the semifinals he beat Ventuski, and in the finals he beat Ice Chris.
Yeah. So very strong competition. Other worlds qualifiers as well, and I'm personally very curious to see how he will fare on an international level. But should be good and pretty creative for the team building as well. Had a Guzzlord. He was running Shadow Quagsire before the recent season. Like this is when Shadow Whiscash was at its peak with the 50% Scald debuff. He was running Shadow Quagsire.
Yeah, he kind of
in all.
Yeah,
all
he
three
kind of
tournaments.
started Shadow Quag because like I know people ran it in Bologna, which was like still the old meta, but like I think a lot of them were probably inspired by Desynct and saw that he was doing well with it, and saw that like because people were starting to pivot to like Altaria and Mantine to counter the Whiscash, but with that Stone Edge, you're not really countering it anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely argue that he sort of put Quagsire on the map, but was also the first one this season to get a tournament win with Guzzlord, which was
Oh,
took
really?
some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the
I think there was
first.
like what 2 shortly after him, but yeah, I think he was the first.
Yeah, he was the first, and then they sort of shortly followed, and he was almost the first with Clodsire as well. That second place finish, I'm pretty sure he was running Clodsire.
Yep. Clodsire, he had a Shadow Bomb Snow. Yeah, very creative team building for sure. So definitely excited to see what he's cooking. But that's gonna be my top pick. Who wants to take the next one?
I can go next up. So I
He stole my pick. That's why. You're like,
not Caleb's pick. As soon as Caleb said in the group chat, he was like, "Oh, this week we're doing LATAM."
no.
I
So
s-
I typed out this person's name, and I was trying to figure out like if I spelled my Dark Horse pick's name correctly. So I was trying to type that one out, and then right before I press enter, I see Steve press it. And I was so heated. I went for a second pick, and then Tristan already had it. Like, anyway, I'm fine. I'm totally fine with these things. These things
Need
definitely
I
deserves
remind you
the
that you all
recognition.
started doing this while I was in a movie, so
Wow.
We
I mean,
did,
no
we
one
did.
told you to
No
watch a
fair at
movie
all.
at that time. No one told
Well,
Steve and Tristan to be awakened to see my messages. I don't know my picks. It's just how the dice
Look,
rolls.
Kaz,
Yeah, but
Kaz,
anyway,
I
your top
said
pick.
you could have taken Caleb's picks. No one would have been mad about it.
Look, Kaz can almost partially blame me because she was casting the Devon World Championships originally.
that's also true.
So I'll take some of that blame, but it doesn't mean I'm going to change my top pick. Which less than 60 seconds after Caleb messaged LATAM edition, I messaged shotgun top pick Jeffy. So yeah, my top pick is LNDS Giabelindo's Jeff. So I think is probably the most well-known Latin American battler on the sort of top stage. Really needs no introduction. Came first at Porto Alegre in 2023, which was an instant qualification on its own. But then went
I
ahead
think
and
it was
got
the first one to
another.
qualify too for Worlds last year.
Oh, out of everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think that does make
because
yeah.
I think their tournament wrapped up in a day, whereas it was the same weekend as the Basics Vani Grand Finals.
Yeah.
in
Oh, it
Europe.
went really late too. Like that Latin American one. Like I think it.
Yes, because I think it was like a 1 day
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah,
technically
it's
speaking, even though
huge.
like day 2 would have happened before day 2 of Porto Alegre, the Porto Alegre one wrapped up on the first day, so there was no Sunday. So he
Yeah.
was the first person in the world to qualify last season.
Yes. Well, other than Dancing Robin, Emmy Weedle.
Oh,
But,
yeah, true.
if we're counting them,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
but at first, so they sort of gain that
Yeah,
qualification afterwards.
first to qualify without the auto qualification from the previous.
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
But then, like that same season, ended up coming fourth at LAIC, which is also pretty early in the season, in like November. Which again, back in that previous system, would have also single-handedly qualified him for Worlds. So whoever came fifth in that tournament can thank him for already having qualified from Porto Alegre. But then in that same season, and this is part of why I very much love this man, is that he then ran
Okay.
Shadow Alolan Grimer at Sao Paulo and finished top 6, which
that's
is
nuts.
sick as. And as the only person on planet Earth to have top 6 with Shadow Alolan Muck, game respect game on that front.
Steve respecting Hard Jeff, I would think, is the best. I don't know if you could say you have the same game as him.
I think we're pretty similar in skill level. So
He's the best buddy at Lonely Grimer too.
yeah.
Shadow.
It's
How did you
pretty
best
sick.
buddy it that fast? Didn't it just come out like right before that? He must have been grinding those coffins.
I don't. No. It came out in end of May. Because
Yeah,
I read it in Sydney in June.
I know,
And
and the tournament he ran it in was in May.
Oh wait, yeah, this is the 2023 season.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hang on, that
Maybe it's
doesn't.
maybe it's a typo, or he just really grinded it with the poffins. I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't check out because
What it says on Dracovis, which sometimes it can be prone to being, having some mistakes here and there. So
As we've discussed.
Yeah, it's definitely been known. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. That seems interesting, but
quick with it. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, then he did play in Worlds. I didn't do that well. But he ended up losing to like Lyle Jeffs and Scaffo. So fair competition to lose to. He did beat
Yep.
Dancing Rob, so if that means
Wow.
I know Dancing
Last
Rob
season,
didn't
Dancing
exactly
Rob
go in
wasn't
competitive.
his fighting form, you know. So,
No,
but
it's
yeah,
but it's still there. But anyway, similar to Colin, it's the 2024 season that he was sort of really in absolute incredible top form with back-to-back wins. Curitiba, was that special event or regional? I think it was special event.
Regional, I think.
Curitiba.
Oh, it's
I think it
regional.
was a regional. Yeah.
Okay, but then went hot off the heels of that one and then won LAIC as well, which never been done before. Incredibly dominant position, ton of championship points, performed well in a couple more regionals as well, and Colin ended up in third on the global championship leaderboard. This guy
Which
ended
is
up
pretty
in
impressive too,
second.
because there's less tournaments.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In
Like,
LATAM too compared to NA. So
yeah, literally only behind Dunebug. So super impressive and just farmed up points like nothing else. So probably the Latin American favorite, I would sort of suggest on the whole going into Worlds. So
he did lose to his teammate and friend Steiner at NAIC, but
yeah.
but they ran mirror teams, which is kind of wild. And the fact that they both went that far is something for sure.
Oh, those GBL Lindos are something else.
Yeah.
Mhm. Definitely. Okay. Well, speaking of Steiner, you want to do your top
Yeah,
pick?
so my top pick is Steiner. And I would like Steve said, I think that Rajef probably had the most success across the board from any Latvian player, and I mean winning LAIC is a huge accomplishment. But I'd say Steiner is, in my opinion, is going into Worlds a little bit hotter actually, because he got first in Goiânia, second in Sao Paulo, and third at NAIC, in addition to a fourth place at LAIC this year. So I think he's probably the only player in the world to get top 4 in 2 ICs in a season. Maybe the only person to get top 4 in 2 ICs, period.
Yeah.
So definitely has a string of big results and has proven himself on the big stage. Those really strong finishes at 2 different ICs this season. And then on top of that, he also got second in Sao Paulo last year, and a 33rd place finish at Worlds. So basically from Sao Paulo last year on, he's just had a string of really solid results. His one other result this year was 13th at Curitiba, which was his lowest finish of the year. And again, that winning a regional, second place at another, and then 2 top 4 finishes at ICs is just pretty crazy in my opinion.
Yeah, his last few tournament runs were just kind of insane too. He also did go to Worlds last year, but did okay, I guess, 3-2 there. Something to note too. I was just looking at the results. Related to Steiner, because Steiner did beat Harjeff, but Harjeff lost. The only 2 people he lost to were Racha, Babyface, and not to be confused with the one we have
The
on screen
first.
right now. Yeah, Racha,
Number
Babyface the
one.
first, not the second, and a Steiner, which is kind of wild. So getting just beaten by 2 Latin players actually at NAIC, which is pretty wild. But and Steiner also lost to Out of Pocket, was just a eventual champion, but then also lost to another Latin player, Ashton Ash. So these Latin players are strong, man, even on NA soil. But
Well, we've known that for a long time, right? Like way back in the Silver Arena days, like that was the spot that was popping off.
I don't think they did as well at Worlds last year outside of Elche.
Yeah.
But and that was just like a wild story. But but I'm sure they're looking for some redemption here this year, and they look pretty poised for it. But yeah, Kaz, who's your top pick?
So my top pick for the LATAM region is Zardy. While he didn't win any of the regional events, he did top cut at every single regional event that he went to. Not special events necessarily, because I don't have the data in front of me for those, but like 5th at Curitiba, 13th at LAIC and Sao Paulo, and then 2nd at Goiânia. So, I mean, he's a very strong and consistent player. I think when he gets dialed in, he really like goes hard for it. And I think that he's got the momentum. Like, I mean, he went to NAIC and didn't do as well as some of the other LATAM players, but I mean, I know that he sets goals for himself, like really strictly. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's really trying to dial it in for Worlds. And he's always had that kind of consistent performance, even across last season as well. So I think he has the potential to go all the way.
Yeah, one of the few Latin players to qualify for Worlds all 3 years. I think the
Yep.
only other person might be what's his name? Shoot, I'm blanking. The other Brazilian, Patrick Albany. I think they're
Oh,
the
yeah.
only two Latin players. They're definitely the only two Brazilian, but I think they're the only two Latin players to qualify for Worlds all 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Zardy was actually also one spot away from matching Rise and being the another player to win a regional every single season. He got second,
Yeah.
unfortunately, at Guarania. But winning first place in the first 2 seasons in 2 different tournaments was pretty nuts.
Yeah, last year he got 2 in a row, I believe, in 2023.
I don't know if he got 2 in a row, but he won 2.
2022, maybe.
Yeah, he won the Joinville one that year, and then he won Natal last year.
Yeah.
But funny enough, so even though you said like, oh, maybe he didn't do as good at NAIC, the 2 people you lost to were also LATAM players. So
exactly,
again, LATAM pretty strong
yeah,
here.
No, and LATAM really came to like enforce to NAIC this year as well. Like they wanted
awesome
to. I mean, it was really awesome to see, and I like that idea that at these big IC events, like even though we kind of associate them with being like, oh, this is for this region, like there's been a lot of movement in between the regions just because of how big and how entertaining these events can be, even from a spectator standpoint. So it's really encouraging to see, like going into a new season as well, like all the plans that are already being
and I
laid
think
out.
we'll see even more of that this next season with those IC travel awards, as well
with
as
the travel
as
awards,
well as the top X qualification, right? People are going to want to try to get a bunch of points from those ICs because they're such a good source of points. So I think we'll see even more of that going forward, which I think will be really exciting to see. You know, hopefully some Latvian players at EUIC and North American players at EUIC, and you know, vice versa, and hopefully maybe a few Aussies show up to all of them.
Yeah, no, definitely that'll be cool. Let's go reverse order here and go dark horse pick. Let's start with Kaz. Who's your dark horse pick here?
So my dark horse pick is LNDS Jamunis, who is maybe a little like lesser known, but I mean she's one of the like LATAM like women players that has been pretty widely recognized, especially this past season, since she basically started out the season by getting third at Curitiba. So that was pretty high profile then, and I mean she's continued to do well even if she hasn't quite made the top cut at any of the other tournaments. I think she's got like a really good support system, and she definitely looks like she's enjoying the game, like when we've had a chance to see her at tournaments. So that's something that I always kind of look for too. So I think that you know, her momentum is good right now, and she's excited for Worlds. I know that.
Yeah.
So there have been a lot of posts about it, and I know that she's excited to represent like the women of the LATAM region. So that's always really thrilling for me to see as well. Is that girls that PvP energy, you know?
Yo, definitely.
So I'm excited, and I think that she has really strong potential to take it really far at Worlds. So, and she didn't get to go last year, so I'm excited to see her shine this year.
Yeah, and she got 5th at Natal last year too, so she was close, right? But last year was definitely much harder with that top 2 qualification only position. But yeah, should be good. I'm excited to see her. I watched her play on stage at LAIC this past year, and she played really well. She beat Marto actually.
Yeah, she like when I look at her like her wins, even in tournaments where she didn't do well, I'm like, oh, she beat Marto, she beat a bunch of her other LNDS compatriots. Like, so I know that the energy is there.
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, Tristen, who's your dark horse pick?
This was a tough one, but I think I'm gonna go with Memi.
Okay.
He got he hasn't done a ton of tournaments, but got 9th in Santiago in 2022, 3rd in Santiago last year, 3rd in Buenos Aires this year, and 3rd in Santiago this year. So
A lot of third place finishes.
exactly,
Yeah, got
he's the Caleb
Nice
Peng of
little
third
streak
place
going.
finishes.
I mean,
I don't know.
actually,
Might have
yeah,
to
3 third place finishes is
Yeah.
pretty
Rocket
good.
Claire's got to catch up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Memi's had 2 years to build up his resume, but yeah, he was actually the person that lost out against Elche and Santiago last year, in a game 5 actually of losers final. So super close there. And then we don't have data on Buenos Aires this year, but then this year he lost to the eventual champion Varo and then desynced in 5 games in Santiago. So
I know he's also hit like number 1 on the GBO leaderboard and stuff like that as well. Funny enough, he's actually on Team Pizza.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
he's been on their team
yeah.
for a while. He plays in some of the LATAM leagues as well, because I actually faced off against him because I played in the LATAM leagues with Blue Marlins, and yeah, it was pretty good battles.
But I know a lot of those Team Pizza guys are really good, and I'm sure prepping a lot. So I'm sure he's got a lot of theory crafting, team building advice, scrims, and stuff from some of those other top players. So I'm sure he'll be ready to go. Lots of prepping.
Yeah, Steve, who's your dark horse pick?
All right, my dark horse pick is an actual dark horse in this one. It's no tournament wins under their belt, but it's Garaveo Andre.
I think we've all been good about that today.
We've been good today.
Yeah,
it's been a good dark horse session.
Yeah, I don't know why you say it like you're like following the rules when you were one of the few people that broke the rules for EU. I'm like, this it's a legal pick. I was like, you're one of the few people that use the illegal pick.
Yeah, and it was like 30 minutes ago. So
yeah.
You don't break the rules, I break the rules.
Yeah. The more high ground crept up on you real quick.
Yeah.
All right. So Garrett,
I was always this morally high. Okay, but my dark horse is Garaveo Andre, who they only played one tournament in 2023, but they came top 6 back in Sao Paulo. So like they, not like they're a bad player by any means. They got a top 6 in there, one and done. Obviously didn't qualify because it was that top 2 qualifying thing.
They lost to Jeff and Steiner for context. So, it's pretty solid losses, I would say.
You can't complain too much about that. But then the 2024 season, they then also placed 4th at Curitiba. So we're moving up in the world from 6th to 4th. Yeah. And I think one of their losses...
Lost to Jeff and Juice Muniz. So pretty solid competition, if I do say so.
Yeah.
You could definitely say that. And that's Latin America in a nutshell. So
far,
right?
We're only RPSing each other with our LATAM pick, it seems like.
Yeah.
Well, it gets only better when you go LAIC this year.
Yeah, well then, they came 9th at LAIC with Basildon and Clodsire on their team.
Oh, I
but
remember.
On top of that,
too.
Yeah, they were running double counter with Metacham and Obstagoon, which is just sick. Like I love that team. It's awesome. Which if you want to just grab my attention to get me to pick you as a dark horse or a top pick, just run something wild.
Run Bastion and Steve will love your team.
No, not only did he almost make Bastion work, he almost made Clodsire and Obstagoon work on the same team, which is
that was in a Metacham meta too. He was running Bastion and Obstagoon.
Yeah.
Kind of nuts.
Wild.
Pretty awesome. And then, other than that, they placed 33rd at a couple regionals. They've been on the GBL leaderboard. And I think they're not even in the top 50, barely on the Latin American Championship point leaderboard.
No. You forgot to mention at LAIC. So he beats Juice Muniz in that rematch. And then he loses again to Jeff and Steiner day number 2. So again, these losses aren't too bad, right?
Yeah.
The losses at Guanya were not as stellar, but that's fine. But
yeah. Look, I with all that said, I think they can definitely make a pretty good run at Worlds, as long as they avoid 2 people in particular.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
As long as they avoid their own regional people,
their own countrymen.
Dodge Latin America. Be good.
Yo, I'm ready, man. All these people that aren't ready for Bastion, yeah, watch out. We got another dark horse user for that. All right. And then my dark horse pick, who did? Oh yeah, I remember now. I picked of all the dark horse picks. I feel like this is the most dark horse of them all. I picked Ashton Ash, who not many people really knew of him. First tournament was this current season was in Sacramento, 9th place there. I actually remember, I think, commentating that match, but lost to CTU and Drake Flames, both my locals here. But just missed out on top cut in his first ever tournament, which is kind of wild. And then 49th at San Antonio, lost to Gerald and Gerald and Harjeff. Definitely solid competition for sure. Then went to Knoxville. So actually goes to a decent amount of NA tournaments, even though they're from LATAM. I think they're from Mexico.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Maybe easier to go to. And then at Knoxville, lost to Valor Ash twice, but beat everyone else. And then at Orlando, lost to Valor Ash again. So, a little unfortunate there. But what's that? Yeah. Okay. And then I was just making sure they actually went. Not really sure what the results were from Mexico City because that date is a little scuffed. But then going all the way to NAIC and getting second place and wasn't even close to. I don't even think wasn't even qualified for Worlds to my understanding. Maybe was, but I don't know. But definitely wasn't even in contention of Travel Award. But he had to go have a crazy finish at NAIC to even have a shot at Travel Award. And because the second place finish, actually got himself a Travel Award, 2 Worlds as well, which is nuts. And beat everyone there except for Out of Pocket. And he faced tough competition here, right? Yeah, feeling this one of my old locals, actually from Atlanta, who always put up a good fight every time I faced him as well. 2-0 there, 2-0 King Alexander, 2-0 Frostfire, 2-1 Zardy, 2-1 Yui Waxod, 2-1 Spartan, which is a 7-11 Mexico player, 2-1 Auburn, and then lost to Out of Pocket in the winners finals on the 5th game, and then 3-0 Steiner, which was kind of wild. I don't know if anyone saw that coming, and then went 0-3 against Pocket in the rematch. But still, crazy run from Ashton Ash, and I don't think anyone saw that coming, which is why he's the perfect dark horse pick.
I mean, I feel like he would have been a dark horse for NAIC, but for Worlds, like second place coming off of the most recent
does
tournament.
It fit the criteria or not, right? Did he win a tournament before? No. Right? Did anyone know about him before, like a month ago? No.
Much
right?
like Tristen got points in Kaz's corner on a technicality, I feel like we're wandering into technicality.
Look, you throw out the polls. Again. Throw out the polls. See what happens, right? See what happens here.
Yeah.
Well, I think I know where the top pick poll is going to go. Let's put it that way.
They don't respect.
You think you know?
Yeah, you'll see what happens with.
All right, we'll see.
Actually, no. I believe. I actually think all the top.
I think this top really pick is probably going to be the closest top pick poll we've had so far, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. I think
the EU one's pretty close too, though.
Has a poll closed yet, or no? Or should we review that next week? Or we'll review next week. Okay. Sounds good. Well, that's going to be our LATAM dark horse and top picks for the week. So that's good. Yeah, we'll see how that pans out next week. We have NA to close it out, and then we get into drafting, and that'll be. And the real question is that I'm really curious, right? Who's actually going to draft their picks, right? Because you can say they're your top pick or their dark horse pick, but are you actually drafting them? Yeah, better.
I mean, I would draft everyone that I picked, but if we're doing, I guess it depends on the format because we could snipe each other.
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If
well,
like
we're going
to.
Yeah, I'm saying
more so like you
some
better
of you
draft.
tried to do in the chat this week.
Successfully did.
Better watch out.
I mean, how many picks are we gonna do?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. Is
We're gonna
20
have
too
to.
many?
I think we're gonna have to still. I think we still have to work out the
Ooh.
details.
Yeah, we can talk about
Yeah,
20 sounds like a lot, especially if, like, we're talking
that's
about.
where it gets good though, right? Because then you could really dig deep into.
I
Like,
feel like that's gonna
some of
take a
the-
while though. Like if we have
That's
one,
what we're gonna do all episode. What you mean?
the whole episode, we're just gonna draft.
Ain't no one complaining about a 3-hour episode. People love those things. They're like, oh my gosh, a 3-hour episode.
I mean,
That's
I
fantastic.
enjoy the long episodes, but I just think that 3 hours of just sitting there drafting like 20 players each might be.
Oh no, you gotta be quick with it. You can't be sitting there like
Yeah.
looking up stuff. Like I think what we'll do is we'll set
It's
a
gotta-
timer for everyone.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got to be like the play Pokemon tournaments themselves. It's
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah.
you got to choose
Slow
your
play
team.
rule,
and
yeah.
You got to choose your fighter. In
Yeah,
like
I think
2
we
minutes.
say we get 30 seconds per pick.
Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
That's
20
30
is
seconds.
still a lot.
Okay. All right. Let's say
I'm-
if it's 30 seconds per pick, right? So what is that? 10 minutes per person. We'll be done if
Yeah.
it's just the 4 of us. We'll be done 40 minutes. Easy.
If I know us,
Yeah.
it's gonna end up taking a little bit longer than that.
Well, no. It's 30 seconds or 30. Okay, how about this? It'll be 30 seconds or it moves on to the next person right away. And you don't lose that pick, you just pick it later.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like
Yeah.
you get to do back to back on the next.
No,
30
back to
seconds,
back,
or-
no back to back.
No,
It just
no.
it's like I don't know if you all had snow days back as a kid, but like if you had a snow day and there's too many of them, you add like a day of school in the summer.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, dang!
Like, there's going to be so
That's-
many snow days, right? Like yeah, you get like
Seems like
3,
that
10 snow
sucks.
days. Yeah, snow days
Yeah,
were
this
great
is news to me.
until they had too many snow days, at least back in Connecticut, and then they would add a
Yeah.
day on, right? So what we'll do
Dang.
is like let's say I don't pick in time and Steve's next, right? When it comes back to me, I just pick the same round that Steve just picked, and then I'll pick like an extra one in the end.
Yeah. Okay.
hmm
Fair enough.
Yeah, prep yourself.
We've got some rule settling to do.
I still
think,
know about
in the-
20
That's-
though.
I
I
think
feel
that's
like
fair. We can talk
Yeah.
more about the
I
rules
think
next
maybe
week
like
too.
10 picks or something.
You don't feel confident. You don't feel confident that we'll have 80 strong players.
Not that. I just think that's a lot of
people.
people to go through, and like
Well, I know that's why you got to do your homework.
All
You know,
right.
you gotta
Well,
come
if we're
ready,
doing
right?
20,
I think
wait.
the point.
I think if we're doing 20 picks, that means Caleb's volunteering to do all the math on who wins at the end. Because you have to assign point values for all 20 people.
We'll discuss that later. We'll discuss the math later. Right? How about this? We'll compromise. We'll do 15 picks each. 15.
We can talk later.
Okay, 15's more doable. Like my thought was 10, not necessarily from a like, oh, it's going to take too long, or oh, it's too many names to calculate. But my thought is, if you get more and more and more names drafted, eventually the points are just essentially going to be random because
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's true.
like,
Alright,
it's sort of
it's
like,
less about
honestly,
picking
like,
the top
initially-
six. So 10 makes
Right,
sense.
because initially
to
I
me.
was thinking we would do like 5 or 6 picks. So like maybe 10, but like I wouldn't
Yeah.
go more than 10 or 12 at most.
Okay, let's go with 10. Yeah, I'm sold.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with 10. 30 seconds still though, so
Yeah.
No, I
We'll be
think
done
that
20
sounds
minutes.
fair. Yeah.
yeah. All right, I'm cool with 10. It might be more than just us 4 though, so that's where it gets
Yeah.
interesting. But we will revisit that later. Okay, you got anything for us, Professor
I
Tristan?
do, but before we do that, I got a little more LAIC travel award info from JJ.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Break that down because I'm curious. I was talking to some of my locals actually about that this past weekend because we were like trying to.
Okay,
figure it
so
out,
he
but-
said,
so what's
I
the
was
deal?
correct. The travel award is from post UIC through NAIC. The amount of points earned
Okay.
for it is visible if you dig on your profile in the My Play Pokemon, but a full leaderboard hasn't been posted yet. Then he said,
Yeah, so people were just trying to do like figure out calculations, right? Like who might be.
yeah, so he
there,
said
yeah.
NA had 4 tournaments, including NAIC count towards the travel award. Oceania had Perth, EU had Stockholm and Bologna, and LATAM had
Okay.
8 tournaments in that window. So LATAM's going to be the hardest to know because they had all those special events and some
Yeah.
regionals.
Oh wow.
That's wild.
So the LATAM,
But that's an interesting one too, because like from a travel perspective, it'll be the cheapest for them to go to LAIC at least. So even if they miss out on the travel for that one, a lot of them can
Yeah,
still stay in the running,
definitely.
right? Because they could
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
pay out of pocket and it'll be a little bit cheaper. Whereas like for NA, EU, Oceania, like it's much harder for them to stay in the running if they don't get the travel because they have to pay a lot
Yeah.
more to get there.
Also, the travel award would be less for them because it's in region.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for LATAM at least, like, yeah, there's a little bit. It's not as bad, even though there were a lot of
Yeah.
tournaments there. I mean, I assume Decent gets one for sure, right?
Yeah.
Because of
Yeah, so
his
then
performance.
JJ said,
Yeah.
Decent's
so JJ,
probably Steiner, Harjeff, and Ash and Ash is my
Well,
guess.
I don't know about Harjeff because a lot of their championship points were before the window. Like,
I feel like
It's true.
Harjeff also. I guess, yeah. I guess it depends on how many Latin players actually played in the other ones, like the special.
yeah, I don't
events
know
and
what
stuff,
special
'cause-
events Harjeff did, and I don't know. He probably didn't necessarily do very many locals in that window because he probably thought he was chilling on points for World's Travel Award.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Um,
Well, he's like,
Which
I
is
gotta
sort
win
of
LAC
why-
again then.
yeah,
But you get a lot of points for fifth place at NAIC though. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
but if he's
Yeah, that could
competing,
potentially
it's
sell it.
a top. Wait, there's 4 people that get it. Yeah, it probably is those 4 most likely. Okay, so then
Yeah.
Actually, it's I don't know. It's hard to say,
for
right?
sure,
Because
There's
if you won a special event, that's like
200.
well, I don't know how 200, yeah, or so, right? So wait, so how are they calculating the points? Are they calculating championship points like last season's champion points, like based on that criteria? But then after LAIC's travel award for EUIC, it's going to be at this year's
I
championship
think
points
so.
criteria.
I believe so.
Okay, I mean that would be the most fair, but I'm just
Both
trying
in
to
terms
figure
of
out
like
if they're
the
trying to keep
actual
all
point
consistent.
values, but also the best finish limits too. Right, because
Yeah. So best finish limits for last season is still 6
during 6 cups and 6 challenges, and then going forward it'll be 4 and 4, I believe.
Yeah, that's so tough too, right? Because like it's just no one knew that was going to be the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
it
why
just-
I don't love it.
I don't love it, but
It's-
I also
Yeah.
don't know what the alternative is. It
Yeah,
just feels- I mean,
exactly.
like after this one sequence, like it'll be.
I mean, the
it, right? After
alternative
that,
would be
we will
not
know,
to
but-
have travel awards for LAIC, which also feels bad. So
Yeah, no, for sure,
Yeah.
right?
Like
but
that's
it's
not
just.
the answer either.
Oh, sorry, we lost some connection right there briefly. So I don't know where we were last talking about, but something about travel award stuff still for LAIC.
yeah, I was going over more of the details that JJ gave me about LAIC travel awards. It seems like he's looked into it quite a bit, so appreciate him for all this additional information.
Mhm.
He was saying that Oceania began locals at the beginning of March, so there were locals both before and after EUIC.
Mm.
He said he couldn't imagine Yusei not getting a travel award because he said Yusei had 9 cups and 13 challenges completed by May 14th and posted about more
What?
later in the month.
Wait, how does JJ get this data from like people's locals?
That was my question too.
Well, the Yusei thing, he said that Yusei posted about it on Twitter, so he
Yeah.
grabbed that
Oh, okay, I
information on
gotcha.
Twitter.
Okay.
yeah, at least for his
Um,
case, yeah.
Okay, that's okay. That makes sense.
And then,
You kept just
and then
referencing
what-
JJ's data, and I'm like, where is this?
Yeah.
but also he does a lot of spreadsheet stuff, and so he like grabs like what people's like total points were and like how many points they got from ICs and like does math in terms of like what their possible point range could be
Mhm.
based on like if they got like 0 locals versus like max local points or somewhere in between. So yeah, that's what he was saying about Oceania. He thinks Yusei would likely get one. And then again, he was saying that the LATAM one is going to be more of a. It's way harder to know because there were so many events and it's hard to have data on everyone's performances because like a lot of the special events we only have like who got top 8 and stuff. But that one's going to be the most competitive too because there were so many events. And then you were saying EU only had a couple tournaments and only a couple people attended tournaments outside the region. So yeah, he sent me some charts, but he's obviously a lot of it depends on like how many local points people got like during that window specifically. But his best guess is for EU, it's probably going to be Colin 6, Palasha, Scoffo. Yeah, it's tough. It's like a lot of people he has pretty close in there though, like Scoffo, Patamon, Inadequates, Tomahawk are likely the front runners, but again, it depends a lot in terms of like how many people got what local points during that period, which you can't tell because the global leaderboard is just based on their max local points during the season. But it's hard to know like who maxed their points at the beginning and stopped going versus who's been doing them throughout, sort of a deal. And it seems like he thinks for Oceania it's probably going to be Rick, Flareon, Yusei, and then potentially Bombatsu and Z-Tarb are the most likely ones, with like Avrip, Joey Hugo, and Mikey Morbs like close behind potentially. But again, a lot of that's going to depend on people's locals.
We've got a
and, like,
decent record of when the locals took place, but I don't know about Bomatsu. Oh, maybe.
we'll have to see.
Look,
Again, it's gonna,
end of the day, we
you'd
sort
have
of just
to,
have to wait for the leaderboard to get posted, right? Like,
yeah.
hopefully that happens soon.
But yeah.
Because like they have the data, like
Right.
on Pokemon's end, they literally have everything there.
That date, will that leaderboard ever come out? Because it's not a leaderboard. Like that's all stuff that ended last season, right? So even the new season's leaderboard.
Yeah, no.
wouldn't have
There's
this, right?
if
There's
you go
a
to the
special
leaderboard page,
leaderboard.
you can actually access all of the leaderboards from the past, and then there's special leaderboards for travel awards as well.
Oh,
But they
It's
haven't actually
that-
generated our 2024 Go LAIC Travel Award leaderboards
Right.
yet. Which,
But if you look at VG
know
and
they
TCG,
yeah,
they have
the data.
leaderboards for every IC. So like if you went to VG or TCG, you could see a leaderboard for like the LAIC Travel Award last year, UIC Travel Award, NAIC Travel Award, and the upcoming LAIC Travel Award. And I think they also probably already have a leaderboard that started for the EUIC Travel Awards now at this point.
Yeah.
But Go doesn't have that because we didn't have travel awards in the past. So we'll have to wait and see if hopefully they make us an LAC one, just because it would be nice to see. But obviously that window's closed.
Well,
At a
not
minimum,
obviously. Like we don't actually know that. We're essentially assuming that, right? Like Pokemon has not given us the communication that that's definitely what's happening. We're all just guessing.
No. We know this because if you do the digging, like JJN said, you can navigate on your profile to see your own points for the travel award thing, and it lists the start and end dates.
Although it's also possible that that's just essentially hangover from like they've ported it over from VG and TCG, especially if they haven't like made the Go leaderboard for LAIC. Like I would argue that the possibility is still there that they opt to go for something different than just pulling an assumption from the fact that you can find this data on the player profile, because that's probably just how it's set up on their back end. So I would just very much like TPCI to just tell us. I hope that happens soon.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely agree. I just don't know how easy or hard it is to set all that stuff up with the website in the back end.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I'm assuming like it is real effort, but the communication piece, I think, is, I mean, I want to say easier in that it's less like manual effort. Obviously, it's harder in terms of getting approvals and yada, yada, yada. But I do think that's sort of the most important piece in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Being able to see that would definitely be very nice, and having those windows officially written somewhere. I mean, maybe it is. I mean, there's a lot of different pages of documentation and stuff and rules and whatever. So maybe those windows are hidden in somewhere in those, but maybe not. But I agree. Just having more clarity and certainty on this stuff would certainly be nice.
Yeah.
Although it does ruin my plans a little bit in terms of that. Like, if we're assuming that it is that window up to NAIC, and that window is also being used for the top 16 priority registration for LAIC, that does ruin my plan of get to top 16, get Rego for LAIC, hope to get enough points to get Rego for EUIC so that I can actually guarantee that I can play in these events and pay for flights and such.
I thought when this came out originally, you're like, oh, I feel bad that I might be taking up a spot, and now you're like, wait, I gotta try to work for this
For
spot now.
priority rego, right? Like priority rego is
yeah.
different. Like I just want to
Yeah.
play,
Oh,
and if I'm gonna
okay,
be,
okay.
if I'm hoping to
So
cut
you
the
just
Aussie
want to
ones,
play,
yeah, that's
but
it. I just
you
want
just want
to
to
play.
play, but you don't want your travel paid for.
Well, like other people, like I'm not. You've got to set your sights realistic, right?
Okay. I like it. All right, being humble with it. Okay. Anyway, that's the traveler stuff. Let's head down to Professor Tristen. What you got?
All right, so what I got today is some buffs for Dusclops and Dusknor.
Oh,
I like that.
Your guys wasn't enough.
Nah, Poltergeist ain't it, man.
hey, I ran at Melbourne
Um,
Regionals. It was fine. Oh, Brisbane Regional, maybe.
It was fine, just fine.
Okay.
So the big one is I would love to see them given Dynamic Punch,
Oh, yeah.
because Ghost Fighting is a really good coverage combination.
We
it would
know
make
it.
them,
Annihilate.
and it would give them a lot more like neutral and safe play.
Hmm.
Being able to hit like darks and normals that resist Ghost with a Dynamic Punch.
Mhm.
And then I think you could also look at buffing. Trying to find the parameters, but you could buff Shadow Punch by like 5 or 10 damage, because Shadow Punch is just a little pretty underwhelming at the moment. Um, and then let's see, what do they have for? Yeah, you could buff it. Yeah, you could buff it like 10 or even 15 damage, because right now it's 40 damage for 35 energy, which is pretty terrible, all things considered.
Hmm.
If you bumped it up to like 55 damage for 35 energy, I believe that would be a Weather Ball clone, um, which is like pretty strong, but not like too crazy by any means. If you wanted something slightly like tuned down, you could do 55 damage for 35 energy, which would also be solid. But 40 damage is just kind of sad, if I'm being honest.
Mhm.
And then you could also look at buffing their fast moves. Um, so you could the big one would be buffing Astonish for Dusknor.
Yeah.
You could take it further. Right now it's 9 damage, 10 energy. You could bring it up to 12 damage, 10 energy. Um, and then you could potentially also look at um, buffing Hex for Dusclops, but that wouldn't be quite as needed.
There's a lot of things I learned in Hex though.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
scary
I was gonna
buff.
Like
say, I was gonna
Jellicent.
say that could potentially affect a lot of other like already decently usable Pokemon. I mean,
Yeah,
Jellicent mainly, but also
Frostlass
Frostlass
would
learns
become better.
Hex. Hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Alolan
Drifloon.
Marowak, Driftbloom.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how often do you really see those things though?
I mean, not now, but if you buff the Hex, it could be a different story, right?
I mean,
Jellicent could be pretty. Yeah.
Jellicent I see fairly regularly, like
Uh-huh.
in Open Great League.
Yeah.
You know, like
And
that's
Ultra League gets
probably
kind of nasty.
yeah, and that's probably the one that you would see the most. But you do also see Frostlass a decent amount. I'd say in Great League, like Drifblim and Alolan Marowak are more special metas picks,
Mhm.
you know. But yeah, in but they still exist. And then in Ultra League, yeah, Jellicent would become a monster.
Yeah, I mean, you
Drifblim
definitely have to
might come
make.
back into prevalence too.
The thing with
I mean,
Ultra
you
League as well is Jellicent walls off Tentacruel and Poliwrath, so like
Mm-hmm.
it's very, very strong. And it beats
yeah, I mean,
Talonflame, right? There's not a lot of
right.
checks to Drifloon
Yeah,
outside of
Hex would definitely.
Jellicent.
You'd have to check Jellicent to make sure it's not too strong for sure. That would be the biggest concern. I agree with you guys there.
I mean,
But
Shadow
a lot of
Punch.
the other stuff,
Not many Pokemon know Shadow Punch. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty much
Are.
just Gengar and Haunter, and
Well,
then
I think
Golurk.
I think buffing
Golurk's hot
Astonish.
garbage.
Yeah, I think buffing Astonish would be really interesting because there's a lot of ghosts that learn that
Mhm.
like haven't seen any relevance that might actually become more usable if you were to buff that. So I think that would definitely be really interesting, like shake up wise.
there's a lot of Pokemon that you wouldn't expect to know Astonish that also do that. Like Mawile knows Astonish. Dunsparce, I mean, it knows Astonish, but
What's that? Trimeco?
Oh yeah.
yeah. Although its
Mischievous.
stats, something special.
Could be interesting if
Questionable?
Fluttermane gets released one day and it also Astonish
Oh,
buff
that's
comes
true.
out because Fluttermane
True.
busted in VGC. Fairy.
Wait, was it Ghost Fairy?
Ghost Fairy? Yeah.
I don't know
It
how the
has access to
stats
fire
would
moves.
translate. I don't know how the stats would translate.
It
to
might not be
Go,
as
but-
good in Great League. I don't know, but I think in Ultra League or Master League it could be pretty nasty. But
Yeah,
that coverage is like
I think it's
really
on. Is it
broken.
on the Glacier side though? Right?
Yeah, I
Pretty
think so.
attack
Yeah,
weighted?
yeah. It's attack weighted. It just
Oh.
depends on how much bulk it really has, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think I forgot to say I don't believe Dusknoir currently learns Shadow Punch.
No.
So you'd also be adding Shadow Punch to Dusknoir would be pretty crucial there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Although,
Noir.
even a
Noir.
buffed Dusknoir, I don't think it's going to be coming out.
I think Dusclops is going to be the biggest potential winner, right? Because of his
Yeah.
stats, especially in Great League. Because
Yeah.
there's just too many good ghosts in Ultra League for it to be relevant either. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, the pure ghost
I mean,
type
I
is
think-
interesting.
If you, I mean, it would need a triple buff, right? But if you buffed Astonish, buffed Shadow Punch, and gave Shadow Punch and Dynamic Punch to Dusknoir actually could be pretty solid.
Yeah, that's like let's give Dusknoir 3 more community days before it becomes relevant.
I mean, we sort of saw that with like Gligar though. Like first they buffed Wing Attack, and then they gave it a double buff with Aerial Ace and Dig. So
True.
Yeah.
But the wing attack buff happened like a year prior, right? So like it was.
Yeah, there was a lot of time. I would say it wasn't until not right away. It wasn't until like I think it really wasn't until Dig got buffed that we were like, oh, Gligar's usable now.
Yeah.
right. Well, they buffed Dig and Aerial Ace at the
Yeah,
same
it was-
time.
it was a
but
double
really.
buff.
Oh, okay. For some reason I thought they were two separate updates.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do agree with you guys on the Hex thing. Like, you definitely have to make sure Jellicent didn't get too strong. But I don't know that Frostos would necessarily even run Hex over Powder Snow, because Powder Snow is just a really solid move.
Well, it depends how much you buff it, right?
And like,
Yeah.
That's-
I mean, if you're
It's like
keeping
Steel and
Jellicent in
Charming.
mind, though.
yeah.
But like, if you're keeping Jellicent in mind for like power concerns, I don't think you're going to be buffing it to be.
Yeah.
crazy
Honestly,
better than Powder
Jellicent,
Snow.
like the buff to Hex for Jellicent in Great League, I think is totally reasonable. I think it's Ultra League where it gets problematic. Whereas like right now, Jellicent in Ultra League, Great League, even if you buff it a little bit, I think it'll be okay. Because even like against Azumarill, that's not like the cleanest matchup either for Jellicent. Just
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Azumarill can win like the one shield. I think.
Yeah, it's like kind of crazy how strong it is. So, but the bigger concern is really just how it looks in Ultra League. But
Definitely. But yeah, I don't think like Drifblim and Alolan Marowak have been pretty absent for quite a while.
yeah,
Yeah, they don't really
And,
get
like, again-
visibility unless it's a special meta.
Exactly.
okay, well that's good. We'll see how that goes. We did have a Grassroots tournament this past weekend too.
Yeah.
I think both Steve and Kaz were casting it, right? If I recall correctly.
Steve
I
was
wasn't
in
casting.
production.
Oh, you
was
were
just-
okay.
I was just hiding.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
you're hiding,
Steve was,
okay.
Steve was in the production side of things.
Oh,
You
okay,
are
okay.
probably thinking of the other very visible Australian, which
No,
is
I don't fish out of heater. I don't fish. It's not. Don't put me in that box. Like, oh, Caleb thinks all Australians are the same. Like, yeah, no, I
I'm
know.
just-
I
I'm
could have
just
sworn I
saying
saw your
they're-
name on a graphic too. I know who fishes.
Yeah, they kept
Um,
putting me in the tweet like production at PvP Steve at Miss Mystic. It was like
okay,
Miss
yeah,
Mystic
maybe
is the
that's what
real
it was.
goat here, but like I wasn't doing
Yeah.
that much to be fair. I didn't
Yeah.
deserve to be in the tweet, but hey, I was there.
Well, I'll let caster Kaz break it down then for us. What is Devon Worlds and what went down?
So this was the inaugural Devon World Championship. Devon is kind of I mean, I don't want to say the only, but they're like trying to fill, I think, most of the void left behind by the Silpharina as far as solo tournaments go. Coming up with unique metas every month and creating, out of this first, I think it's 6 months.
I feel like there was 7, but actually maybe the 7th meta was the world's meta. Maybe it was only 6.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
After they created the leaderboard to come up with their first invitational tournaments, so taking the top 64 from that leaderboard for the first 6 to 7 months, and then whittling that down through a Swiss bracket to the top 8
Yeah.
competitors. Yeah, top 8 competitors for the first world championship crown for this new Devon League. And it was like Steve mentioned, it's a special meta that they created where you basically had to pick 2 from a whitelist, and then those 2 could not share a typing, and then they had a separate whitelist to pick your remaining team based on kind of an amalgamation of the metas that had come before. Which resulted in some really interesting picks, some really interesting Pokemon usage, some things that we've seen before, but people using them in kind of a new way, which I found to be very entertaining to watch, even outside of my 2-hour segment. So yeah, they and after the dust had finally settled, the first world champion of the Devon corporation circuit is Rhyblet, who yay, who we've seen kind of around the Play Pokemon circuit before, and was certainly around the Sylph Arena as well, and the Battle Frontier and factions, so a very widely,
He plays it all.
a very widely.
He even submitted his footage for my critique corner once.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, very widely known. I believe, what was it? It's been so long. What was it called? Sylph used to do this at the end of every month. They would invite the
Sylph Showdown.
Yeah, Sylph Showdown.
Yeah.
So I got invited to that once, and I remember Rhyblet kicking my ass. Which I did not mention on the stream, even though it was kind of in the back of my head. I remember him being very good. And he used a Frostlass on his team, and very expertly, really knowing how to play around that mon, because there are a lot of ways to play Frostlass, and there are a lot of mind games involved with playing Frostlass. So I think he really went with a team that he enjoyed, and that showed in his dominance of the bracket.
Yeah, I think that Rhyblet probably keeps some Frostlass knowledge from all of his time in Sylph Arena. I think I'm pretty sure it's Rhyblet. Yeah.
Oh, I've been saying Rhyblet, but
I could be wrong.
Sound off in the comments.
I always thought it was Rhyblet.
Well, yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Yo, Rhyblet, where you at? Let us know.
Because when I hosted a ton of Sylph Arena, just monthly tournaments, that Rhyblet played in a lot of my ones, and also kicked absolute butt. It's and actually the very first meta of the Devon in January, I tried to host one of them, but I read the rules wrong, and we didn't actually have enough to be ranked. Okay. But Rhyblet swept through this very first thing, and it's
the unranked tournament. Yeah,
the unranked tournament, and evidently didn't hold him back. He did fine.
Just practicing. Yeah, apparently he has stayed pretty close to the top of the leaderboard for the season. So, really strong performance overall. And there are a lot of people, like I said, this is kind of attempting to start filling that gap that was left by the Sylph Arena. So there were a lot of very talented players playing not just throughout the season, but in the invitationals, in the top 8. So some other names. I think I saw. Some other names that you might recognize: Spartan L7 and Aspercelto and Jacko Loco. And C. Leonardo, this bracket was stacked. So
Lyle Jeffs was in there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really fun time, and a really very cool stream on Sunday where we had it was Fish on a Heater and Count Xevious casting the first 4 sets, and then me and Sosa took over, and then it was Speediest Chief and Soph casting over the finals. So it was a really awesome star-studded event overall. And Adelion unfortunately was on the schedule to cast, but had to back out at the last minute. So Steve was kind enough to ask me to join. And
Oh, that's
I'm
cool.
thankful that
That's
my
awesome.
schedule worked out. Because
Yeah.
originally I was supposed to go see Deadpool on Sunday, and then I was like, oh no, I don't think I'm available for the
Yeah.
slot you actually need. But my husband was also like, the movie can wait. Just do your thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
And thank
As a
goodness you watched the
result,
movie later so that we picked our LATAM picks when you're in the movie in the reschedule time.
Yeah, shout out.
It all worked out.
It all comes full
We got to
circle.
cast Devon Worlds. We got to get our first pick of
Yeah.
our choosing for LATAM.
I got the picks
Caleb
I
got to
wanted,
get sniped
so.
twice.
Like,
That was really
that's
funny
not,
to
that's
read
not
after I
you
got
all.
out of Deadpool.
Next time when I type like, oh, the spotlight for next week, I'm gonna type out my picks when I'm typing that. So.
I mean, we
gotta
know what's
get
next
those
week,
down
right?
early.
It's North America, so
Yeah, we only have one left,
Yeah.
so we're
I'm
all
picking myself.
already thinking
I'm picking
about
myself
it.
a dark horse pick because I've never won a tournament, so I fit the criteria for sure.
So that's
How
where
many-
no one
really
heard of
come
Caleb.
from.
Caleb who?
Caleb, what? Yeah.
Wasn't that the guy who played in Sydney Regionals? That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, the world traveler here. Well, that's really cool though. Congrats to Rhyblet/Rhyblet. We'll see what the verdict is. I'm still saying Rhyblet, even though I'm playing with a frog right now. I think. So I don't know. I don't know if I ever told you all this, but usually when I record a podcast, like because it goes on for a while, I have this little toy frog, and I'm like constantly dismembering and remembering the frog. I know it's a little dark, but like you could like take his legs off, so that's like his front leg, and just put
Oh
it back on.
my gosh!
Yeah, so I don't know why.
Caleb's channeling his inner cat here.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I wish my cat were half as good at that job. There would not be nearly as many bugs in this house.
Oh yeah, when my cat Chucky first saw a cockroach, she ran. I was like, "What the heck? Like, the heck is this?" I thought you're here for the pest control. Like,
Mine doesn't run. He just sort of stares at it like.
well, yeah, it was like all my friends were like freaking out. There's a cockroach. I was like, "Chucky, go get it." She looked and she just booked it. I was like,
Nope.
I did
just
not
noped
leave
the
the
heck outta
wilderness for
there.
this kind of lifestyle. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about the tea topic because we didn't discuss this last week.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty big news. It's not really related to Pokemon yet, but who knows? So, for context, I don't know how many people within Pokemon Go / Pokemon know about this, but there was an esports World Cup hosted. It's actually still going on right now this summer, right? It's still going on right now for like multiple games, and it's hosted by Saudi Arabia, and they got a lot of money, right? It's all that oil money and all that other stuff. I don't know all their expenses, but they got a lot of money. So I think they spent, I believe it's $70 million
My God.
was their, let me see, esports World Cup. So it's their inaugural World Cup. No, it's 60 million. Sorry, which is still a lot. Yeah,
I was gonna
$60
say,
million.
not that big a difference. when
Yeah,
you're
but
talking
there's
about tens of
various games, right? So yeah, $62.5 million, and there's a bunch of different games that were hosted for it. Obviously, no Pokemon / Pokemon Go, but there's like Apex Legends, Call of Duty, like Dota, League of Legends, Fortnite. You know, a lot of the big names, StarCraft, some fighter games like Tekken, and there's also TFT, Teamfight Tactics, stuff like that. Probably Rocket League too. Yeah, Rocket League. Anyway,
Mhm.
a lot of the big games, and so they started in July. It's spanning from July through August. So, yeah, that's so 8 weeks of different stuff, and some of the games have already wrapped up. Some of them haven't. I know of some of the casters and hosts that went to. I'm friends with them, so I see them posting about it on stories. Anyway, so big events was met with a lot of controversy. For those that don't know, you could probably Google any controversies within Saudi Arabia, but there's some human rights issues is probably the best way to phrase it, right? Without getting too detailed and graphic.
I mean, I will say, I don't know if you guys are big, World Cup, as in football, soccer.
Yes. Yeah.
But there was also that same sort of controversy when Qatar hosted.
Yes.
This most recent one. It feels very, very similar. This
Yes.
conversation.
Yeah, and it's it just like actual sports too, but esports as well. There's a term called sports washing, and for those that don't know, it pretty much implies using major international or national sporting events, teams, or players to divert attention from a country's unethical conduct inside and outside of its borders. And so a lot of people point to not only the World Cup but also the esports World Cup as sports washing attempts from the Saudi Arabian government. And being friends with some of these casters, those caster announcements were not received well by the majority of the public. Like they got they got a lot of backlash for going overseas and casting some of these tournaments or hosting some of these tournaments. And they still get some of it too on their future posts, right? But it's a lot of money. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going to say anyone's specific stuff, but from what I hear from casting, just like maybe a couple days, maybe a week's worth of work or less, it was like around $25,000. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I know. So that's how they got some of these people, right? But a lot of at least for League of Legends, a lot of the big casters like turned it down. So they kind of like went down the road a little bit because you can see like I was like, oh, how come some of the biggest name casters aren't doing it? Because a lot of them decided to turn down the offer, right? Because there's no way they extended to like their tier 3 and tier 2 and tier 3 casters without having asked some of the well-known ones. But that being said, how that's related to this week's tea topic is they just announced, this was last week they announced it, but I figured it'd be good to have Steve on when we're talking about this as well. Is they announced that the International Olympic Committee, so the official Olympic Committee, actually voted on this last week, and they voted yes on creating an Olympic esports games. So it's the Olympics, but for esports. And let me tell you how all right, let me tell you this brief story, right? This is back when I was in college. I think like sophomore, junior year of my college, 2011, 2010. I'm talking to my friend Jake, and we're having lunch, and there's a bunch of us too, but it was mostly me and Jake arguing. Everyone was just like laughing or listening to us. I was just talking about how like I wasn't even big into gaming back then, but I played some games and stuff, and I've seen some stuff. And Jake is, for context, a very big sports person. And so I said, you know what, Jake, like I know like you're really into sports, but I don't know how we got to this topic, but I said, I wouldn't be surprised in our lifetime if video games make it into Olympics one day, like esports. He's like, no, Caleb, that will never happen. I was like, I will make a lifetime bet with you, right? That it will happen, right? I don't know when it's going to happen. We might be in our 80s, we might be in our 60s, it might be next year, but it's going to happen, right? Like I already, they're going to show like esports on like ESPN 8 one day, and they did that actually for Dota like a couple years ago. And so the moment I saw this, I kid you not, I text my friend Jake and I said, I just sent him the link, right? That the Olympic stuff. And he responds with, LMAO, you've been waiting 15 years to send this to me. Damn right I haven't.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's finally actually here. It's the real Olympics, which is kind of nuts because there's going to be Olympic medals, and I assume they'll be hosting this every 4 years. Now, the downside is that they have a 12-year deal with Saudi Arabia for hosting the Esports Olympics. So we already know where the Esports Olympics is for the next 3 Olympics for the next 12 years, which is a long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I waited 12 plus years to send Jake that text. I got to wait another 12 years for it to not be in Saudi Arabia.
Maybe.
And that is assuming they don't just like renew even longer with Saudi
That's
Arabia.
true. That's
right?
true.
Like,
Yeah, at least 12 years, which again, there's some issues with it for sure, right? And we'll see how that impacts. I mean, people are like, well, what does that do with us? It's like, I don't know. I mean, Pokemon Go is an esport, right? Pokemon, VGC, and Unite and TCG are esports.
I mean,
Well, I don't know if TCG
honestly,
counts as esport because it's like card
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
I
not.
honestly wouldn't be surprised if like the main series games, like the VGC, do get
offered.
to be in that sooner
Yeah.
rather than later. Go
I
is
feel
like
like you.
You don't
That's
I
think
feel like
so? You don't think we can have
I
an
think
Olympian on our hands?
I feel
I
like
mean,
you. I feel like
I don't think our game is ready for the
Yeah.
Olympics.
Yeah.
Oh, so to
I
clarify, the
feel like
first Olympic
Unite.
Games for esports is next year. It's like coming soon, 2025,
Yeah.
which is like,
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
and the crazy thing is, I only did a little bit of looking when they first announced it, but it was like they announced it like it was going to exist, but like they didn't have anything figured out in terms of what games are going to be
Yeah.
there. How do you qualify?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
all of that needs to be figured out in like less than a year, which
Yeah.
is kind of insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna probably have their own type of qualifications. Like, I don't know too much about the ins and outs of for this year's like esports World Cup, but my guess is that I don't know if they're going to do away with the World Cup. It's going to be the same government hosting the Olympics, but that was probably like a good pilot test for them to say like, hey, we can host a big international world event.
Yeah.
And I
And that
think,
certainly is part of the reason that they're probably having the first one there, honestly.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And if I recall correctly, I think the, I think for League of Legends, all the teams that were invited were the teams that made it to their like mid-season like invitational for like the actual league circuit. So essentially like I think it was like roughly about 2 teams per region attended
Mhm.
that one. So I think they went back and invited all those teams that qualified. That was like their way of doing it, I think, for this. But
Yeah. I
obviously
mean,
some of them might
I
decline their
I mean,
feel
that
like
invites.
sounds right.
right.
Yeah.
I feel like something like the Olympics would potentially have its own
oh,
qualification
actually,
structure.
not necessarily. I think many of the Olympic sports, because there were a few new ones that have sort of been thrown around in the Olympics, and a lot of them are like to qualify. Like the country does their own, so the country sort of chooses who they send, but then. To qualify, you then need to have like had some performance in some level of tournament,
Yeah.
in your thingo. So it's
Yeah,
sort of like
yeah.
what Caleb was saying for League of Legends. I assume it might actually end up being similar in you've sort of got the first qualification step that's kind of just within your game, and then through that there then be some sort of
Dude,
path through.
that'd be
But
wild, dude. Like that's like
Wait,
really like a lot of country
wait,
pride
I'm
there, but
Wait, I'm curious, Caleb. This World Cup, was it country based though, or was it just like random teams?
so it was the teams are based within different regions, right? So for example, one team named Genji Esports, their League of Legends teams in Korea, right? So like they're like all sponsored orgs. Honestly, there's the thing is, I mean, Go's like kind of different here, but a lot of these games are all team games. So the
Mhm.
people that are flown out, they're inviting orgs to be a part of it, right? So like this
Right, but my,
org
my
is
question is
based in the
like,
U.S.
right, but like a U.S. team might have players that are from Korea and
No,
China.
they yes. So I mean, it depends on the game, right? But for League, for example, they have an import rule within the circuit. So like they can only have 2 players max that aren't U.S. citizens. So for example, Team Liquid went right and they competed, and they have 3 North American players and 2 players that have been playing on their team for years, but they're Korean players because they fit within the import rule. So that's yeah.
Right. So my point is because this is the Olympics, for those games,
Oh,
it would
I see what
probably
you're
be
saying.
different team compositions, right?
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't even be North America because US would have a different team than
That's actually a
Canada.
good point. That actually that would probably be different then, right? Because this World Cup is like also it's like kind of like loosely like just run. Like they announced it like back like earlier this year, so they didn't have that much time to organize it. Yeah, that's actually a good point because if you're not a U.S. citizen, you're competing in the Olympics for your. Well, also the better question is are countries able to send multiple teams, right? Like the USA basketball team for Olympics, they're not sending 2 teams; they send 1 team, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Right. It probably depends because, like, I think for like volleyball, like beach volleyball, I think like the US sometimes sends like 2 teams or something,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and that's tougher too because there's
So,
only like 2 people per team,
yeah.
whereas for like for league it's 5 players, right? Just like basketball, you
Right.
have like 5 starters. I mean, I guess you have a lot of people on the bench, whereas league isn't the case. But that could be super interesting if they force you to have to be from like a citizen of that country because, well, for league, like all the best players are pretty much in Korea and China, so like they have to build a super team with just 5 of them, which is much worse for them than some of the other regions, I guess. But
I might have some insight here because
Oh,
I've been waiting to bring this up.
You friends with
But-
the Saudi prince or something? What's going on? What's this insider info
Find
from?
that Wilma. So in 2023, this isn't actually the Olympics' first foray into esports.
Okay.
Because last year in 2023, they held an Olympic esports sort of series. And I know this because I competed.
What?
You could be in the Olympics?
Technically, I mean, I'm counting it. So essentially, what they did, they sort of announced this.
Before you finish this, I'm just surprised this is the first time people are hearing it. Because if I completed any type of Olympics, even if it's not official, I'd be telling everyone, right?
Yeah,
Olympian
real quick.
I think
Olympic rep
like,
for Aussies.
You know,
yeah.
One tweet or something. Like I'll let you know, like why it's not as impressive as it could be otherwise. So essentially, they sort of made this announcement. They were like, it was essentially the Olympics dipping their toe in the water. Like, is esports something that we're going to be interested in? But they didn't go with things like League of Legends or Rocket League or things that had established, esports existence.
Okay.
They had things like Just Dance, Gran Turismo, games you've never heard of, like tennis.
People on this committee definitely are out of touch with esports if that's what they went with.
Well, my understanding is that they actually went to so this is my example. They went to the Archery Commission and they were like, okay, Archery Commission, we want to have an archery esports game to represent your sport in this esports Olympics. Tell us a game and we'll run it. But instead of picking an existing archery one, the Archery Commission were like, and this is a little bit of headcanon, I think they were like, oh, this is a money-making opportunity here. So I think they commissioned a new game called Tic Tac Bow, which is filled with in-app purchases and skins and stuff like that. And the premise of this game is it's like tic-tac-toe, noughts and crosses. But if you hit your arrow closer to the center than the opponent, then you take over that square. So it's, a slight, and then, there's wind and there's distance and there's if you take over the target's move and whatever. So anyway,
we get it. It's more complicated than it sounds, right?
It's not. A mobile game? Not. Let me tell you. And it's a mobile game. It's insane. So they
you want to show us on your app right now? As you've got,
I do have it here. So essentially, they had this round one of this Olympic qualifier for Tic Tac Bow was just anyone could jump in, and there were some thousands of people that played. Oh no, I think I've deleted it for good reason. But there's thousands of people who played, and in this qualifier, I came top 90.
90, okay.
Which is fine, but maybe not top 32, top 16 maybe. Got flown out to Singapore, and they sort of competed in this big live stream that was held in Singapore for this Olympic esports series.
They're playing tic tac bow.
Playing tic tac bow. It was insane.
You missed that. You could have been in the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to still call myself an Olympian because I was in the first round, but. TikTok also held this, and I think I actually
to Olympians.
I actually did tweet this out. They held this community commentary competition, and I was like, all right, we can do some tic-tac-toe
commentary for
so I did I commentated some games from the Singapore thingo, and not for the actual thing. I took the recording and I commentated over it, and I won $200 USD or something. So it's happy days. But anyway, the reason I bring all that up, other than the fact to just, say Olympian shout out, is that the way they ran all of these sports was very detached from countries. It was just essentially free for all. And so they didn't really care. They cared about this person is from Australia, but they didn't, limit it to a certain number of Australians. And that was from the Olympics directly in this esports thingo.
Did the winner get an Olympic medal?
No, so not an official Olympic medal. So that's I think the change for this. They got a medal, but it wasn't I I think they would probably
From
call it
Dollar
an
Tree.
Olympic medal, but like it's
Yeah.
Made out of a
it's not as
yogurt
valuable.
lid.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm glad we waited for Steve for this topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
real. You could have been in Singapore.
If only I was a little bit better. If I worked harder, alas. But
Didn't calculate that wind drift as much as your opponents did, I guess.
guys,
I'm just more sad that Steve's Tic Tac Bow commentary career didn't take off.
I know. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure there's a lot of
In
opportunities.
another,
winding
in
up
another
the bow.
universe. In another universe.
There's a lot of wind on this
Yeah.
one.
Oh, he's
Better watch out.
knots.
So I can send you the video. Like it's unlisted on my YouTube channel. It's
Oh yeah,
like,
please do, please
and-
do.
Yes, please.
Wait, you should list it.
Wait. How long is the video?
oh, it's probably like under 10 minutes. Like it was a quickie.
Okay. I'm gonna show a clip of that right now for those that are curious right now.
Yeah.
G'day Archers and welcome back to the Tic Tac Bow World Championships. I'm PvP Steve and we are now jumping in for the winners finals between Monty Day and D-Chan. Like D-Chan going for the 103 here and we're shooting and we don't get it! We don't get the 103, it was a 101! Monty Day has got the easy bottom left.
Oh, it's a 9-minute video.
Okay. All right.
It's-
Well,
like, I-
we'll see the
it's
clip
not at
later
all.
ourselves, but
Caleb can link to the whole video in the YouTube.
nah. This is. We'll get. Steve's got to make it public if he wants to do all that. He's got to publicly post about
Yeah.
it.
We gotta blow up this video. He'll get crazy YouTube earnings from it.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I went into this thing and I was like, I don't think the competition's going to be all that stacked. So I went in, I ripped it, I did one take and was like, all right, sending it in. And evidently it worked out. So
Wild.
anyway,
All right,
anyway.
should we do some YouTube comments?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say is one last thing I was gonna ask you all too, right? I think the Saudi Arabia thing is kind of a tricky position, but let's just say for a future sake of esports Olympics, regardless of where it's at, right? What would it take for Pokemon Go to make it?
I mean, the Pokemon company has to sign on for it, right? That's
Yeah.
Sure. Let's say if they're willing to, right? Let's say if they're willing to, what does it take for the Olympic Committee to actually say we want Pokemon Go?
So they have published a list of names, right? Like that's what you.
No. We don't know
No.
what games are going to be at.
Oh, okay.
No, we
Right,
don't
right.
know
We don't
anything.
know.
Yeah.
Tic Tac Bow commentary career is about to launch back off.
Yeah, you might get back into that
You
grind.
better download that app
Yeah,
again.
if you don't do it, I'm about to do it.
I mean, I guess it depends because, like, I mean, the competition, like the competition between each game in the Pokemon franchise, like when we think of Play Pokemon circuit now, is very drastically different. Like, each segment is playing the game so very differently. So I don't know what they would necessarily be looking for in terms of like criteria. But I mean, with the Olympics being structured the way it is, I mean, as much as Steve has told us about that test circuit, that they did, then I have to imagine that they are looking more towards like a team-based competition. So I'm not sure what it would take for Go to like be involved in something like that. I mean, we've obviously seen how Grassroots has created team-based competitions, but I don't know.
I don't know if I fully agree, to be
But
honest.
it doesn't
just
have to
because
be
the
team based
Olympics-
because they have like Street Fighter and like Tekken. The fighting games are all single player too.
Well,
Really?
and also, if you look at the Olympics themselves, there's a lot of solo sports, right? There's swimming, there's fencing, there's
All the track and field stuff. I mean, the
track and
original
field.
Olympic sports are all single player.
Single
Track
player,
and
so
single-
esports loaded.
solo. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm ready. Yeah.
I mean, I do think though that Unite would probably be the most likely title to get in there, just because it is more like of an esport already. But I think from a Go standpoint, I mean, I think the big thing is I just don't know if we necessarily have big enough player base or viewer base at the moment to be considered for something like that. So we'd probably need to primarily get more people playing like Go PvP in general, but especially competing at regionals, ICs, worlds for like play Pokemon,
Mm-hmm.
and then also like get those viewership numbers up, I would guess. And then from the game itself, I think we need a lot of the bugs and lag issues to get sorted out. Again, hopefully a land mode, and maybe, I mean, sort of what you guys talked about a couple episodes ago when you talked about like the PV poke traffic and stuff. Add some other elements of complexity to the game. I think,
Yeah.
whether that be
Yeah,
any
I
of
mean,
those ideas you guys talked about before, but I think there would need to be a little bit more complexity and skill expression as well.
yeah, I mean, right now there's just there's really only the Niantic, like as the sort of founder and moderator of this game, like they have things that they value, and PvP isn't necessarily like their priority. It's and certainly that I think frustrates those of us that do enjoy that the most. But I think that before it can be taken seriously as an esport, that would have to be part of the priority, is to make that aspect of the game not just run better, but like Tristen was saying, a little more complexity, a little more investment in that digital part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think just lag and just consistency of gameplay just cannot be a thing, right? If you want it to be, especially on a like Olympic level, honestly, like I it really sucks to see it even on like a world stage or international level stage or even regionals. But I don't know. Like I know it's going to take a lot of infrastructure and work, but I think Niantic really needs to get on land. Like they need to have zero ping and they need to have like, this their own servers at the venues to avoid this kind of stuff, because it's what all the esports stuff does. But like I said, there's a lot of single player games that are not single player, like solo games, right? In like the World Cup already, and then they also have mobile games. They have mobile games in it involved too. So it's not
Really?
the format and it's not the device, right? Like
Okay.
they have like Mobile Legends, Mobile Bang Bang, some other stuff too. So it's not the limiting factor is not that we're playing an iPhone game or a mobile game, but yeah.
Oh
we'll
yeah,
see.
I mean, I certainly think there's room for it. I guess something about the Olympics just means I can't get like that team mentality out of my head.
Well, if you watch enough track and field, you'll get it out.
All right.
Yeah.
Or
Don't watch the
swimming,
relays though. That will confuse you. All the throwers are all solo. But I do also agree with Tristan that I think the skill expression needs to be higher. I'm at the point with this game where I feel like everyone's really good at it, that like you can't just outskill your opponent if you just have the wrong team composition. Like there's nothing you can do sometimes, right? Like as long as they're like not like
Just the Bastiodon guy.
even when you don't use Bastiodon, there's nothing you can do, right? Like you get it. Like I was playing a local and there were games where I got hard count. The one game I won, I had a freaking Vigoroth on my Bastiodon and a Mud Boy on my Charge Bug. That was the one game I won, right? Like it's just, but like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. There's too at this point in time, I think there's too little skill expression for the game, because people have gotten good at it. I think early on Pokemon Go, it was much more apparent because they're way like people weren't as good at the game, so people that were better, like it definitely showed, but. It's a little bit harder these days.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I believe that it's not necessarily just about skill expression, because that's no matter where you set that, eventually you're going to have people hitting that ceiling. Like over time, people just get better and better and they're going to hit that ceiling. What you need is variety of like space to move. Like, we've talked about it before, like in VG with like, you can build different teams that do different things. You can create new strategies. Like you have that depth so that it's not all just about skill. You have like the skill of team building matters a lot more than like it just doesn't in Pokemon Go so much.
In VGC, I definitely feel like there's more of like a synergy in the team building aspect than there is in Pokemon Go. In Pokemon Go, it's more just like kind of support. Like, okay, well, if I have this Pokemon, then I have to cover its weaknesses with this, and then cover its weaknesses with this. But like,
Yeah.
I feel like whenever I've watched the VGC, there's definitely more of a synergistic element between like, okay, how can this ability like not only support this Pokemon but support the rest of my team? You know,
Definitely,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
There's more
make them
setup
stronger.
potential
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty much saying similar to what Steve's saying when I say like skill expression. I think it's just more so not even just skill expression. There needs to be more room for like different strategies.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
for Go, like sometimes games are literally determined on if you call the bait or not. That's all.
Mhm.
It's a 50-50, right? If you look at all these games on the Esports World Cup, there isn't a situation where like, oh, this is a 50-50 call. If they don't do this one thing, then they just lose the game, right? Or if they do, like,
Yeah.
if they, like, it's just like, but that's how, like, because our game's so short too, right? So there's like the shorter the game is, the less flexibility there is, and there's less chances for skill expression, right? Because there's just not a
Mhm.
lot. Like Unite, for example, there's a lot of chance for skill expression, but if you compare Unite to Dota and League, it's actually much easier. Like there's way less room for skill expression because the games are done in 10 minutes, whereas a League of Legends game and Dota game are like 20 minutes is like a short game.
Yeah.
30 to 40 minutes is like more standard. And there's a lot more things that happen there where if you lose, there's like 1,000 things you could have done differently, right? That led it. It's not like you made one bad mistake and then that's the entire game, right? But that's what
Right,
happens
because
with Go.
you're constantly making mistakes or decisions in those
Yeah.
games, right? Like
And they're fluid.
even like where do you move, right?
Yeah.
Which route do you take? Like do you
Yes.
go, etc. Like
Yeah.
when do you use this move or that move or this ability or whatever.
Yeah. Even if those were solo games, they would still have a lot more room for skill expression and just like choices, right? Which I think similar to
Right,
what you
like
all saying about VGC, right? There's a lot of chances to make different choices. Whereas for Go, it's like, am I baiting here? Am I not? Am I like? There's only 2 moves I can throw at me too, right?
Yeah.
So, but
yeah.
anyway, that's that's going to be our brief tea topic for this week, and then we'll just cover briefly. I know Steve has to go soon. How much time you got left, Steve?
We got 3 minutes on the clock. So.
Let's run through these YouTube comments.
There's one YouTube comment in particular.
Yeah. I'll make sure to cover that. Did we talk about Forno's comment from GoFest? It was on
We
one of the
haven't
videos.
covered comments, I think, in the last
I
two
know, but I
episodes
just don't
because we've
remember
gotten
this
so-
one. So let's just go over it, and if it sounds familiar, then just stop me. Right? There's a long comment saying talking about the Go Fest and how to make them better. I'll share my experience at New York City Go Fest 2023. Do we remember? Don't remember this?
No, I don't think
So
so.
I think I don't think that's. I remember Forno too because Forno's been a longtime commenter for the podcast ever since we had YouTube, and yeah, I remember Forno meeting there. Actually, he traded me a Carbink. So he said, yeah, that's where we met Caleb. So my brother and I chose our play day for Sunday afternoon block. So we had the 3 prior days for the city experience, and I gotta say it was great. NYC was a lot of fun to run around and play. However, we noticed that every request that we did, we were not getting any mega entry. Since we hadn't had our play date yet, we were being treated like an outsider and only getting another chance for Rayquaza. Just how the remotes work, you can join anyone at GoFest event remotely, but you miss out on all the extra benefits. All you get are normal items from the raids and then the catch encounter. It was the same at the Las Vegas event earlier that year. You couldn't gain primal entry from a remote raid invite, and you had to purchase a ticket for the event in order to gain primal entry. So we only did a handful of Rayquaza leading up to our play date. We had planned to go hard after the day and ended in the city for the remainder of the night. As soon as the event was over, Niantic shut off all the raids till the next morning. I don't think that was supposed to happen, but it ruined the final night of the city event, so we did not have a chance to farm up tons of Rayquaza entry, having that last play day slot. No clue if this was intentional or not, but we felt like we got the short end of the stick and missed out on a huge opportunity. Overall, our experience was great, but the ending for us was hot garbage. that's right. Sorry for the long comment. I've just never had the chance to vent that frustration. Also didn't know if we were the only ones that happened to. I don't remember hearing about anyone else having this same experience. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have like a Sunday ticket, so I actually don't know. But I guess people that have Sunday tickets are definitely in a tough spot in those situations.
Sounds like
I do
I'm
think
curious
there's
if
people that try to avoid playing on Sunday and play the other days instead for that reason.
Yeah.
I am curious if they bought the city experience add-ons for the other days or not, because that could have been part of it potentially.
Maybe we'll see what Forno
Sounds
says
like
in the
they-
follow-up comments. Yeah,
sounds like they did, but yeah, I do think that if you're just playing on Sunday, that it can definitely feel that way.
yeah.
I empathize.
But it's tough though, right? Because if Sunday's your only free day, this is the best time you
Yeah.
can go. You gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, man, that's
Because I think I had like last year in Osaka. I think my park day was on. Was it on? It might have been on Sunday actually.
yeah.
And I think I was able to get the energy from raids throughout the whole weekend potentially.
Okay.
Though maybe I could be remembering it wrong because I think maybe the Rayquaza raids were only in the were they city experience or were they only
They were only in
I
the
don't-
city experience. They weren't in the park.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I see
Oh,
what
you're
Korner's saying
right, you're
because if they're only in the city experience, so you're not getting any entry without your ticket day. Once you leave the park, you're trying to do it, but if they shut out the rates early, then you can't get any
Right.
requests
I
and not
think
get entry.
I feel like I got energy all weekend, but I think that's because I paid for the extra days of city experience, and maybe they didn't.
Okay. Well, we'll see what Forno says on that. But yeah, that does sound kind of unfortunate in that regard. All right, let's cover one last comment. It was from our Oceania episode, and it says from a familiar name, Debbie Pebble. Says, I won't stand this Pert slander. And I had to go back and listen to this episode, but there was definitely some Pert slander coming from Racha Babyface too here.
Well, I mean, I feel like Caleb Peng was one of the big pushers of this Perth slander because I went back and listened as well.
You have to understand. Anything I know about Perth is from you, Aussies, right? Because I've never been there. I didn't know anything about it, right? For me, that could have been the third biggest city in Australia if I didn't know any better, right? Like I wouldn't know, right? I only know about Sydney and Melbourne. That's it, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah. Look.
What do you have to say for yourself, Steve?
Well, so Debbie and I have been recording that, G'day Battlers sort of episodes with the Road to World series where we were talking to all of the Australian and Oceanic battlers that qualified for Worlds. And every single time, every single episode when we'd talk to these guys, the topic of Perth would come up. And every single East Coaster was like, either they would be like, oh, I don't really want to go to Perth, or they were like, it's like, oh, there's some complaint about
Perth.
yeah. So like, oh, Perth's a long way away. Like, I don't know. I didn't really decide it was worth it. But like every time Debbie just had to sit there and go, oh.
That's crazy to me too, because you all only have 3 regionals. Like if I was in Australia, I would try to find a way to go to all 3. I know flight's not the cheapest there either, right? But like if there's only 3, like that's all. If you're not going to any internationals,
is Debbie secretly mean or something? Like, is she right? Like,
I don't want to be in the same city. No, it really just is. I think it's just an expensive point, which is unfortunate. Plus, it's so far away that it takes like a full day's worth of travel. It's like, it's for me, I've got to get the 3-hour train to the airport, and then you've got to get the 7-hour flight over.
Wait, you have to take a 3-hour train just to get to the airport?
Oh, yeah. Newcastle is special. I have to get the train to Sydney. That's where my closest local is. So I've got to.
This man's slandering Perth, and meanwhile they're in Newcastle.
Hey, Newcastle, I love Newcastle. It's a good spot.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I didn't realize you had to take a train and everything, but
yeah,
I'm just imagining like you live in like the
Perth
Shire.
has an airport. Perth has an airport. You don't.
We do have an airport. It's just that they don't. It's extra expensive to go from ours to Perth. You've got to reroute through somewhere anyway, so you may as well get the train.
Well, we should probably wrap it up here. But before we go, I just made a new discovery. I could dismember the bottom part of this guy's mouth. So now I just have his tongue and bottom chin. Look at this.
Stop!
It's Rhyblet and not Rhyblet. Dismembering his fellow cousin here. But anyway, that's going to do it for us. Welcome back, Steve. And screenshots for next week. Because trust me, you don't want to eat the jelly beans, but I'm going to order it and send it to the losers here, right? So I know that if I lose, that's one less person I have to order for, but don't worry. I don't mind, right? And so we agree you eat one every 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, every of the episode. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
It'll be a long one.
Maybe we should draft 20 players on each team, Maybe this should be a long episode,
2 minutes per pick,
I shouldn't talk so much because they were bad and I might still be eating it, so we'll see. Well, best of luck to everyone, but especially Steve and myself. And we'll catch y'all next week. Have a good one.
Bye.